Chapter 1089. After Kai Tian took over the Eight Harmonies sect, he was in charge of all the matters in the sect. Many people knew that the Four Seas Empyrean had been killed, and in fact, there were many people in the Eight Harmonies sect who were on Su Yun's side. After all, the actions of the Four Seas Empyrean were indeed shameful. However, although there were people who supported Su Yun and were led by Kai Tian, it did not mean that they were loyal to Su Yun. It was impossible for Su Yun's heart control pill to be distributed to every single person in the Eight Harmonies sect. Forget about the fact that the true Devil Realm could not create so many heart control pills. Just Su Yun's body alone was unable to control so many existences. He would only choose to control the leader of a sect and use the leader to control the people below. If the leader fell, then it would be extremely difficult to reign in the sect. Su Yun knew this logic. Kai Tian also knew this logic, but Kai Tian had followed Su Yun for a short period of time, and with regards to this new master, he more or less had some understanding in his heart. Su Yun's strength far surpassed that of the Four Seas Empyrean, and the power he held in his hands was many times stronger than that of the Eight Harmonies sect. If such an existence was unwilling to follow him, he would definitely not betray him, because if he was angered, no one would be able to protect him. Kai Tian did not know what method Su Yun had at the moment, but from the news that the Immortal Court was about to arrive, it was likely that Su Yun's spies had already infiltrated the Immortal Court. For a devil cultivator to have such methods, how could it not be shocking? Inside the temple, Kai Tian was standing in the middle of the temple, looking at the 7 people who had walked in with a face full of smiles. Seeing the 7 of them enter, he immediately cupped his fists and went up to welcome them. The esteemed guests of the Immortal Court have arrived. Kai Tian has failed to welcome you. Forgive me, forgive me. Oh, isn't this Lord Shun? I never thought that your son would personally come to visit today. Kai Tian is flattered. Elder Kai Tian, there's no need to be so formal. We are here today because we have official business to attend to. Let's get straight to the point. The man in the lead called Shun Chi said with a solemn expression. When Kai Tian heard this, he was stunned for a moment. Shinner quickly squeezed out a smile and asked carefully, so it's official business. I wonder what official business all of you have come to my Eight Harmonies sect for? It's about the death of the Eight Unity sect's sect master, Heavenly Venerate Four Seas. The short-haired man at the forefront took out a silver-gray token from the inside of the iron-colored belt around his waist and presented it to Kai Tian. He said in a deep voice, "The Immortal Court has officially handed over this matter to me, Shun 7, a few days ago. From today onwards, the 7 of us will be responsible for investigating this matter." Investigate? Kai Tian revealed a confused and puzzled expression as he questioned, "Shun Darren, what do you mean by this? Wasn't my sect's Empyrean of the Four Seas killed by the people of Jingyu Imperial Palace? How were they supposed to investigate? Wasn't Lin Yujing invited to the Immortal Court? Why did you come to Eight Unity sect to investigate? You should go ask Lin Yujing." After a detailed investigation by the Immortal Court, it was proven that Lin Yujing was not the mastermind behind the murder of Empyrean of the Four Seas, nor did he participate in this matter. Therefore, this matter has nothing to do with him. Elder Kai Tian may have been deceived by those villains. They purposely brought Empyrean of the Four Seas head to Jingyu Imperial Palace, creating the illusion that it was Lin Yujing who wanted to kill Empyrean of the Four Seas. Immediately, Lin Yujing was acquitted and returned to Jingyu Imperial Palace. Although he is acquitted, the mastermind of this matter has yet to be found. Therefore, we have come here to investigate. Shin 7 said expressionlessly. Acquitted? When Kai Tian heard this, he was stunned for a moment. Then, he was enraged. How can he be acquitted? Are you sure you're not mistaken? It was clearly Lin Yujing who coveted the wealth of my Eight Unity sect and wanted to annex my Eight Unity sect. That was why he was killed. How can you all acquitted him? I refuse to accept this. My Eight Unity sect refuses to accept this. You all must give me an explanation. Elder Kai Tian, there is no need to overreact. The reason why we determined that Lin Yujing was innocent was because he had been cooperating with us. Even when we used the mind-reading technique on him, he had no use. Shin 7 said indifferently. I believe that Lord Kai Tian does not doubt the methods of the Immortal Court, right? If you have any questions about our investigation method or the process of the investigation, you can appeal to the Immortal Court at any time. The Lord of the Immortal Court will definitely uphold justice for you. Shin 7 spoke at a moderate pace. However, when Kai Tian heard this, his expression changed slightly. He did not dare to say anything more. Shin 7 looked around and said indifferently, Elder Kai Tian, now I will ask you some questions. I hope you can take the initiative to cooperate with me. Is that possible? Kai Tian licked his lower lip and nodded. If you all have any questions, feel free to ask. Kai Tian will tell you everything he knows. That's good. Shin 7 looked at Kai Tian seriously and said, When Empyrean of the Four Seas was killed, Elder Kai Tian, where were you at that time? Me? I was cultivating in seclusion at that time. I was in a meditative state and did not know what was happening outside. When did you come out of seclusion? Not long after Empyrean was killed. Not long after Empyrean was killed? Since you were killed, how did you pursue the culprit? The culprit was trapped by the disciples of the Eight Harmonies Gate and could not escape. I wanted to capture him, but he was very cunning. I did not know what trick he used, but he escaped 1,000 miles away. I led the elites of the Eight Harmonies Gate and chased him all the way to the outside of the Jingyu Emperor Palace. Since the culprit was trapped, why did he take the head of Empyrean Four Seas? Under those circumstances, wouldn't it seem superfluous? Perhaps he wanted to take the head and report to Lin Yujing, lest Lin Yujing did not believe that they had completed their mission. You have to ask Lin Yujing about this. Kai Tian does not know the reason. Kai Tian said indifferently. Although he was answering, his words were subconsciously telling the people of the Immortal Court that Lin Yujing was the culprit. Lin Yujing is already innocent. We won't be able to find anything from him. Elder Kai Tian only needs to seriously answer our questions. You don't need to think about anything else. Shin Shi seemed to have directly ignored Kai Tian's words. His expression was still as cold as ever. You are right, my lord. Kai Tian did not dare to contradict the people of the Immortal Court. He immediately cupped his fists and said with a lowered head, Let's get back to the main topic. Shin Shi said indifferently, Lin Yujing has been examined by the mind-reading technique and has been determined to be innocent. But he also has his doubts and excuses. Moreover, it is about you, Elder Kai Tian. Do you want to hear it? Kai Tian frowned and pondered. After a long time, he said, There is no harm in telling me, my lord. Shun 7 nodded and said, After Lin Yujing entered the Immortal Court, he has been asking to see Lord Zunli, saying that he hopes Lord Zunli can convict you. Convict me? Kai Tian was startled. Convict me of what crime? Colluding with a villain, plotting to murder the sect's venerable, and trying to control the Eight Unity sect. Shin 7 said with a solemn expression, I am innocent. Kai Tian immediately shouted, I, Kai Tian, am loyal to the Eight Unity sect. How would I dare to plot against the venerable? Moreover, it was Lin Yujing who harmed my venerable. He naturally hoped that I would suffer. That's why he said such a thing. I hope Lord Zunli can understand. As he spoke, Kai Tian actually began to cry bitterly. He directly sprawled on the ground and wailed loudly, looking extremely wronged. Back then, in the Jingyu Imperial Palace, he had also behaved like this. It was said that this matter had caused quite a few people to be interested. It was believed that when Shun Shi went to the Eight Harmonies Gate, he had also done some research on Kai Tian and was not surprised by this. If you want to understand, it's not that there is no way. Shin 7 suddenly stared at Kai Tian, and his voice gradually deepened. At that time, Lin Yujing was like you. He cried that he was innocent, but without evidence, we would not believe him. Therefore, he accepted our most direct and effective method, which was to let us use the mind-reading technique on him to read his thoughts. If he had any ulterior motives, he would definitely not be able to hide it. After we used the technique, what we read would be that he had nothing to do with this matter, and he did not plot against the Four Seas Heavenly Lord. Elder Kai Tian, if you really did not plot against the Four Seas Heavenly Lord, and you are really innocent, then I believe that you do not mind us using the mind-reading technique on you, right? Shin 7 said indifferently. As soon as he said this, Kai Tian's face immediately turned pale. His pupils dilated several times. He was startled and looked at Shin 7. After a moment, he seemed to have come to his senses and hurriedly said with a smile, Lord Shun, what do you mean? Mind-reading technique. Isn't it just the great, exquisite technique? How can a person's state of mind be peeped at by them? Putting aside the fact that Kai Tian is innocent, if we let you read his mind, wouldn't the secrets of the 8 Harmonies sect hidden in Kai Tian's heart be leaked? Elder Kai Tian, you don't have to worry about this at all. Shin 7 seemed to have expected Kai Tian to say this. He directly took out a transparent glass bottle from the exquisite space bag hanging on his waist. The bottle was filled with some glistening liquid, making the bottle look crystal clear. This is the water of erasure. Elder Kai Tian, if you are innocent after the mind-reading technique, I will immediately drink this water and erase my memory. No matter what secrets the 8 Harmonies sect has, I will forget them completely. So, you don't have to worry at all. Shin 7 stared at Kai Tian seriously. Kai Tian was dumbfounded. He probably did not expect Shin 7 to have such a trick. The Immortal Court actually had something like the water of erasure. Looking at Kai Tian's hesitant expression, Shin 7 frowned and said indifferently, What's wrong? Elder Kai Tian, do you still have any concerns? The Four Seas Heavenly Lord is the leader of a sect, and the 8 Harmonies sect is not an ordinary small sect. The death of a Heavenly Lord is not a small matter to the immortal world. The Immortal Court is very concerned about it. For this reason, we have no choice but to use the mind-reading technique. I hope Elder Kai Tian can actively cooperate with us. Otherwise, we can only take forceful measures. At this moment, Shin Vii's voice suddenly became deep. His eyes were slightly cold as he stared at Kai Tian. Chapter 1090. Actually, many people did not know what the methods of the Immortal Court were like because those who had seen it were either unable to say its methods or did not dare to say its methods. Even the strength of the Immortal Court was a very general concept in the hearts of many immortals. Kai Tian did not know much about the methods of the Immortal Court, but he understood one thing. The current him and even the 8 Harmonies sect could not contend against the Immortal Court, and even the 7 people in front of him could not deal with him. Hearing Shun Chi's words, Kai Tian felt a chill run down his spine, and his entire body uncontrollably started to tremble. Shun Chi stared at Kai Tian, then took half a step back and said solemnly, Elder Kai Tian, Shun Chi has already obtained the authorization of the Immortal Court and does not need your permission to use the mind-reading technique. Whether you agree or not, it does not matter. All right, let's not talk anymore, let's begin. With that, Shun Chi waved his hand, and 2 people immediately rushed out from behind him. Each of them extended a hand and pressed down on Kai Tian's shoulder. Shun Chi clearly did not plan to waste any more words and planned to directly take him down. Kai Tian was shocked and immediately retreated, avoiding the large hand that was rushing towards him, and pulled away from the 2 who were rushing over. At the same time, he shouted, Lord Shun Chi, no matter who it is, the matters of the heart cannot be so easily peeped into. Why is your Immortal Court so difficult today? Is this how the Immortal Court does things? The Immortal Court only seeks justice and does not need to care about anything else. Lord Kai Tian, why are you dodging? Could it be that you have a guilty conscience? Shin Chi looked at Kai Tian and said indifferently, Guilty conscience? Could it be that the people of the Immortal Court only know how to speculate? If you have a clear conscience, why don't you accept the test of our mind-reading technique? No matter who it is, I'm afraid they would not be willing to let others peep into their hearts, right? But Lin Yujing did not object. You don't need to say any more. Quickly make your move. Pay Kai Tian first, whether or not he has anything to do with the death of the Four Seas Sky Lord. I will know. Shin Chi bellowed. Yes. The other 4 people behind him immediately rushed out and surrounded Shin Chi. The 6 of them surrounded him in an arc, and each of them used their full strength. Their expressions were serious, and they did not dare to be careless. When he sensed the aura that was close to the fifth stage of the spirit profound immortal realm, Kai Tion's heart almost jumped out of his chest, and his soul almost left his body. When had he ever faced so many experts alone? In the past, there had always been the 4 Cs Empyrean leading the way. Although he was an elder, he was only in charge of internal affairs, and even if he followed Su Yun to fight everywhere, when facing experts that were difficult to defeat, there would still be Xing Bai, Wei Ming, and the other experts to deal with them. Although Kai Tion's combat ability wasn't the strongest among the leaders of the immortal sects, he was the most astute one. These 6 people of the immortal court were all experts. If he fought them head-on, Kai Tion wouldn't be able to gain any advantage. Therefore, he could only retreat. However, Tion did not forget to make use of his advantage. He shouted loudly, "Men! Men! Help! Hurry!" The voice traveled very far, and all the disciples in the vicinity heard it. Thus, a large number of disciples from the 8 Unity sect rushed over without stopping. "Elder, what's wrong? What happened? Who are these people? Surround them." The disciples barged into the main area. When they saw the 7 people from the immortal court, they immediately activated their immortal chi and stared at the uninvited guests. Without even thinking, Kai Tion barked, "Take them down." "Yes, sir," the disciples shouted, and all of them pounced forward. In the eyes of others, this was a disciple's duty, but in the eyes of many disciples, this was a good opportunity to make a contribution. There were hundreds of people around him, but Shen-Shi turned a blind eye to them. He secretly snorted and said indifferently, "Do you think you can stop us with just these disciples with low cultivation? Elder Kai Tion, it seems like you don't understand the immortal court very well." As his voice fell, Shun-Chi suddenly flicked his finger, and the ring on his index finger suddenly released a bright light. A circle of light blue halo directly rippled out from the thumb-sized gem on the ring, spreading in all directions. The disciples that were approaching them were all covered by the halo, and all of their movements came to an abrupt halt. Their bodies stiffened on the spot, and they were actually like statues, unable to move. "What?" Kai Tion turned pale with fright. The other 6 people attacked him again. At this moment, 4 of them were attacking him, while the other 2 were quickly making hand seals, as if they were preparing some incredible immortal arts. Kai Tion kept retreating, but the main area was so big that he had nowhere to retreat. Kai Tion thought of resisting, but resistance was of no use, so he could only rely on other methods to survive. He originally thought that these disciples could more or less delay the opponents and buy him some time to escape, but he didn't expect Shun-Chi and the others to be so powerful, Dong. At this moment, Kai Tion's abdomen was suddenly punched, and he was directly knocked backwards. With a bang, he smashed the wall of the main area, broke the barrier, and continued to fly outside. But before he could fly far, a translucent cover suddenly enveloped his body, and he was forcefully pulled back. At this moment, Kai Tion was like a ball of mud that was casually kneaded. He had no power to fight back against these experts of the immortal court. As soon as he was pulled back, the 2 people of the immortal court pressed him down on the ground, and at the same time, injected immortal chi into his body, sealing all the immortal sects in his body so that he couldn't resist anymore. Kai Tion's body trembled a few times, and he screamed crazily, but no matter what he said or did, he couldn't change anything. Shen-Shi might have already thought of a way to take action. That was to directly use a forceful method to examine Kai Tion. Only his own method wouldn't deceive him. Shen-Shi stared at Kai Tion, whose immortal chi was completely sealed, and the coldness in his eyes became more and more intense. Wait! At this moment, Kai Tion, who was constantly struggling, suddenly shouted. Shen-Shi didn't ask the other 6 people to stop. He just slowly walked in front of Kai Tion and said calmly, "Do you have anything else to say?" I am willing. I am willing to cooperate with you. Accept the mind-reading test. Please don't seal my immortal meridians," Kai Tion said while panting. At this moment, even speaking seemed to be extremely strenuous for him. "Don't you think it's too late for you to say something like this at this moment?" Shen-Chi said expressionlessly. Then he directly raised his hands and accumulated dense immortal chi. Two colorful rays of light suddenly bloomed from his feet, which slowly rose up and gathered at his abdomen. Then with his swoosh, it instantly gathered at the top of his head, as if it was going to break through his skull and shoot into the sky. However, in the end, the light sank, slowly shifted, descended, and finally gathered in his eyes. He opened his colorful eyes, staring at Kai Tian, who was subdued and suppressed on the ground, and his line of sight moved towards his heart little by little. At that moment, Kai Tian had a strange feeling that he was seen through by the opponent, and this feeling was getting stronger and stronger. He opened his eyes wide in terror, looked at Shun Qi, and began to let his imagination run wild. He was afraid that once his line of sight moved to his heart, his thoughts would be completely seen through. Once the Immortal Court confirmed his crime, perhaps in a few days, the experts of the Immortal Court would personally come to cleanse the 8 Unity sect. This time, I'm afraid that no one can save me. Kai Tian suddenly closed his eyes and thought in despair. Whoosh! Right at this critical moment, the sound of something tearing through the air suddenly resounded. The ear-piercing sound seemed to completely pierce through one's ears. An inexplicable heat instantly enveloped Kai Tian's entire body, and it became hotter and hotter. At this moment, it was as if every breath he took in was like a flame. Kai Tian could not endure this heat, and he suddenly opened his eyes, only to see that the sky above him was instantly melted by the high temperature, and terrifying magma directly fell down. And in that magma, there was a sword as white as auspicious clouds. And this sword's blade was directly aimed at his heart. Kai Tian screamed in horror, and the fear in his eyes became more and more intense. Suddenly, such a scene appeared, and his psychological defenses almost instantly collapsed. This was almost like kissing the scythe of the Grim Reaper. But at this moment, a gray beam of light came from the side and hit the white sword's blade accurately. The sword's blade deviated and pierced the ground beside Kai Tian, and the sword's power immediately poured into the ground bang. A shocking explosion spread out, and everyone in the main body was sent flying, with varying degrees of injuries. Kai Tian was directly sent flying and fell not far away, heavily injured. The 6 people from the Immortal Court didn't react in time, and took the remaining power of the sword, and all of them were covered in dirt. The main body was shattered, and the scene was a mess. Who is it? How dare you be so presumptuous in front of the people from the Immortal Court? Shun Qi was furious, and he shouted coldly. He looked at the main body, and saw several beams of light falling from above, and several figures appeared. Don't care about the people from the Immortal Court, kill Kai Tian, and go back to report quickly. A faintly discernible shout came out, and these figures uniformly rushed towards Kai Tian, who was lying on the ground. You want to kill Kai Tian? Do you think we are just decorations? Protect Kai Tian. Capture these people alive. Shun Qi shouted. Yes. The other 6 people replied loudly. Capture alive? When they heard this, they all snorted coldly. The person holding the scorching white sword directly ignored Shun Qi and the others, and turned around, rushing towards Kai Tian, as if there were only him and Kai Tian in the surroundings. And the remaining people went to face the people from the Immortal Court. Although there were only 4 of them, each of them was indescribably powerful. Shun Qi didn't move, and the 6 people went to face the other 3. However, the 6 people from the Immortal Court felt as if they were running towards a huge mountain, and the pressure that was getting stronger and stronger made it hard for them to breathe. Chapter 1091. Seeing the 3 of them, Shun Qi frowned. Amongst the 3 of them, 2 of them were several times stronger than Kai Tian. Were they here to assassinate Kai Tian? Perhaps if the 4 of them joined hands, killing the 4 Seas Empyrean would not be a big deal. Even the 3 of them would be able to fight against the 4 Seas Empyrean. Seeing Su Yun rushing towards Kai Tian alone, Shun Qi could no longer hold it in and immediately rushed over. Both of his hands released several rays of light, directly striking towards Su Yun. Su Yun dodged continuously. His speed was extremely fast. Even light could be easily dodged. However, since Shun-Chi had already arrived, Su Yun did not plan to take Kai Tian's life. He immediately raised the Tribulation Fire Sword, turned the sword tip around, and rushed towards Shun-Chi. Under the urging of Su Yun's immortal chi, the blazing sword body released circle after circle of terrifying heat waves. The high temperature roasted the surroundings until it was red, and even the sky could not withstand it and had to retreat. However, Kai Tian had already recognized Su Yun. Although he had not interacted with Su Yun for a long time, he had seen the sword that Su Yun was holding before. Once, in order to collect Spirit Stone resources, everyone had to pass through an ice cloud that was filled with extreme ice. Su Yun had used this sword to melt the ice on the entire ice cloud. Because Kai Tian had followed along during that operation, he was fortunate enough to see it. Kai Tian never thought that Su Yun would actually appear here, and even more so, he never thought that Su Yun would draw his sword against him. However, Kai Tian was not an idiot. He understood that if Su Yun wanted to kill him, he only needed to activate the heart-controlling pill in his body, and that way, even the great firmament golden immortal would not be able to save him. So why would he go through so much trouble to assassinate him? Could it be that he was planning to use this to prove his innocence? But if that was the case, wouldn't it make people think that he was even more suspicious? After all, the other party wanted to use the mind-reading technique on him. Only his own people would be so guilty and impatient for him to die. Not only would this not be able to clear his name, it would instead make the people of the Immortal Court even more suspicious, right? Kai Tian did not think that Su Yun would be so stupid. He probably had other motives for doing so. However, in the next second, the situation changed. Shun-Chi, who was originally fighting fiercely with Su Yun, suddenly slowed down. He looked left and right, as if he was looking for something, but his opponent was clearly in front of him, but he did not seem to notice at all. Could it be that he could not see Su Yun? Shun-Chi looked around cautiously. Kai Tian also looked around in fear. At this moment, a voice suddenly floated into his ears. Only Tian. Kai Tian's body trembled as he looked around anxiously. Don't rush and don't talk. Listen to me, Su Yun said in a low voice. Right now, Shun-Chi can no longer see me, but you can see me. Right now, the Immortal Court is already suspicious of you, and it is extremely likely that you will expose our identities. If I kill you, it will actually be over, but I don't want to give up on you, and I don't want to give up on everyone who is willing to follow me. Kai Tian, I will cast a spell on you, and after the spell is cast, your memories will go back 10 years to the time when the Four Seas Empyrean was still alive, but this is only temporary. The goal is to allow you to smoothly pass Shun-Chi's mind-reading technique later. Understand? Hearing that, Kai Tian was slightly stunned. He never thought that Su Yun would choose to use such a troublesome and risky method to protect him. The Immortal Court's methods were special, and Shun-Chi was also a master of mind. If Shun-Chi sent something, Su Yun would still not be able to escape misfortune. If Kai Tian had a choice, Kai Tian would definitely use the heart-controlling pill, and not like this. His heart immediately became complicated. If Su Yun was doing this to win the hearts of the people, then the price of winning the hearts of the people was too great. He nodded, not daring to speak, but the depths of his eyes were filled with complexity. When Kai Tian made his decision, Su Yun immediately patted his chest, and a ray of light seeped into Kai Tian's body. In that moment, Kai Tian's consciousness started to blur, and his head became dizzy, making him feel extremely uncomfortable. Seeing that, Su Yun took a deep breath and secretly removed the fleeting shadow art that he used on Shun-Chi. This move was actually given to him by Wei Ming. Although Shun-Chi was an expert in mind manipulation, but in terms of mind manipulation, he believed that the Great Ling Long Palace had a lot of influence. The Great Ling Long technique was famous in the immortal world. There was no one who did not know about it. Su Yun was previously rather curious, until Wei Ming revealed his thoughts, and used the Great Ling Long Palace's unique treasure to temporarily erase a portion of Kai Tian's memories, in order to deceive the Immortal Court's mind-reading technique. It had to be known that even Shun-Chi's water of recollection was actually from the Great Ling Long Palace, and the so-called mind-reading technique originated from the Great Ling Long Palace. Wei Ming did not dare say that the Great Ling Long Palace was the #1 mental technique in the immortal world, but it was not impossible to say that it was ranked in the top few. Hee, invisibility technique? It's just a small trick. Since you're here today, don't even think about leaving. I want to see who exactly you guys are. Shun-Chi bellowed and immediately rushed towards Su Yun. Su Yun suddenly gathered all the immortal chi in his body and poured it into the Tribulation Fire Sword in his hand, causing the surface of the Tribulation Fire Sword to immediately release extremely terrifying white flames. Both of his hands held onto the sword hilt tightly, and the sword tip fiercely pierced downwards. With a loud bang, the sword blade pierced into the ground, and the place where it pierced immediately exploded. Shun-Chi, who had just rushed over, was immediately forced to retreat, while Kai Tian, who was not far away, was sent flying by the explosion. He fell heavily onto the ground and fainted. His memories had been temporarily removed by Su Yun, and he was already in extreme pain. By doing this, Su Yun would not make him seem too strange and cause Shun-Chi to be suspicious. However, after this move, Su Yun did not have time to retract his move. Shun-Chi seized the opportunity, and like lightning, he instantly rushed to Su Yun's side and fiercely punched him in the chest. Before Su Yun could even react, he was attacked by the fist light, causing him to fly out and fall onto a stone sculpture not far away, causing the stone sculpture to shatter into powder. He stood up and coughed violently a few times. Looking at Shun-Chi's cold face, he secretly clenched his teeth and shouted in a low voice, "Don't worry about the others. Quickly follow me to kill Kai Tian. Take off his head and offer it to the Lord, quickly." "Yes, sir," the other three shouted and ran over in unison. "You truly overestimate yourself. With just you guys, you want to do this? Today, I will let you see the power of the immortal court." Shun-Chi bellowed. Shinner waved her hand and shouted, "Immortal Soul 7 Armor Formation." Hearing that, the other 6 people immediately moved towards Shun-Chi. With Shun-Chi as the center, the 6 of them started to move in 6 different directions. When the 4 of them saw this, their faces all changed. Not good. It's the Immortal Court's Immortal Soul 7 Armor Formation. Rumor has it that if one is trapped by this formation, they will be strangled by the ancient armor immortal. If they cannot escape the formation, they will definitely die miserably within the formation. "Retreat! Quick retreat!" One of the 4 people shouted in shock. As soon as his voice fell, the 4 of them immediately ran out. "Chase!" Shun-Chi shouted. "Yes, sir." The 6 of them immediately rushed forward. The 7 of them turned into 7 rays of light and chased relentlessly. The 4 of them were not slow either, and in the blink of an eye, they had escaped out of the octave door and into the chaotic clouds outside. However, even though Shun-Chi and the others were strong, they did not have any advantage over the 4 of them. It was already difficult for the 7 of them to suppress the 4 of them in a head-on battle, and now that the 4 of them were running with all their might, it was even more difficult for them to catch up. The 2 sides chased for half an incense stick of time before the 4 of them disappeared without a trace. Shun-Chi had no choice but to give up and return to the octave door. The people inside the octave door were completely intimidated by the Immortal Court's methods. When they entered the octave door, it was as if there was no one there. "Seventh brother, what should we do now?" One of the 6 women looked at the messy scene. Her gaze shifted to Kai Tian, who was still lying unconscious on the ground, and asked. Shun-Chi muttered to himself for a moment, then said in a low voice, "Since he has only fainted, then things will be easier. Everyone, do what you need to do. Let's use the mind-reading technique on him." The 6 of them nodded. "Yes, sir." With that said, the 6 of them immediately walked towards Kai Tian. The messy octave door was already completely restless. A large number of elders and disciples were rushing over, but no one dared to go forward. After all, the people standing there were all people from the Immortal Court. They represented the laws of the immortal world. How could they dare to act recklessly? If they were to be accused of something, then the octave door would be in trouble. Shin-Chi stared at Kai Tian and walked towards him, all the way to Kai Tian's side before stopping. Then he raised both of his hands high up, his palms facing the sky. A ray of light surged from his feet to the top of his head. Following that, his eyes once again emitted a rainbow-colored light. These two rays of light first landed on Kai Tian's head, then slowly moved down, moving all the way to Kai Tian's heart before stopping. Shin-Chi's expression was focused, his brows furrowed. The 6 people beside him looked at him in unison. The surroundings were very quiet. The people of the octave door at the periphery also did not dare to breathe too loudly. The atmosphere was especially strange. After an unknown period of time, whoosh, the light that shone on Kai Tian's body disappeared. Everything returned to normal. Shin-Chi closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and when he opened them again, his eyes had already returned to normal. "Big brother, how is it?" The 6 of them looked at him with concern. Shin-Chi was silent for a moment, then said in a low voice, "It seems that we have wronged Kai Tian. He actually does not know much about 4C's Heavenly Sovereign's death. It seems that he indeed has nothing to do with this matter." "Then we have chosen the wrong person?" "Most likely," Shin-Chi said in a low voice. "But compared to 4C's Heavenly Sovereign's death, I have read some other things. These things, compared to his death, I'm afraid are more serious." "What? What is it?" everyone asked in unison. "The matter about 4C's Heavenly Sovereign using immortals as ingredients to refine pills." Shin-Chi's voice was low as he said in a low voice. Chapter 1092. Everyone was shocked. "However, he is already dead. Let's settle this matter with the 8 Unity sect in the future. The most important thing now is who killed 4C's Heavenly Lord and the envoy of our immortal court. Who is it that has no regard for the law and attacked the immortal sects everywhere? This is our top priority. If we don't capture this person and solve this case, how can the immortal world have a peaceful day?" But the mind-reading technique has already been identified. The suspicious Lin Yujing and Kai Tian are not suspicious. The clues have been cut off. Where should we start? It's true that the clues have been cut off, but didn't the other party leave us with a lot of clues today? Shin-Chi looked at the messy scene and said indifferently. The 6 of them understood and immediately dispersed, starting to search. One of them took out a mirror and injected celestial power into it. The celestial power emitted a large amount of light, and the light shone in all directions. The surrounding scenery immediately distorted, and circles of faint ripples appeared, as if this place had been filled with lake water. After a while, faint figures appeared from within the ripples. These figures were actually Su Yun, Xing Bai, and the others from before. The scene became the same as before. Su Yun once again raised his pale white and blazing sword, thrusting towards Kai Tian, who was pressed to the ground by the 7 of them. Although everything was an illusion, it was as though the scene at that time had been restored, and it was extremely real. Shin-Chi and the rest stood at the side of the illusion, carefully observing Su Yun and the other 3. This person's cultivation cannot be deduced. When fighting with him, not a single bit of chi leaked out from his body. I don't know if it's because of the magic treasure, or if his own strength is too strong, but we are unable to pry into it. This person is relatively weaker. Most of his fighting strength relies on his own magic treasure, but what is worth noting is that he is very good at cooperating with the 3 of them. He will not take the initiative to attack, but will take the initiative to create opportunities for the people around him. These 2 people are extremely powerful. I'm afraid they are at the 5th to 6th stage of the Spirit Profound Immortal Realm. These 2 people seem to have used their full strength, but these 2 people seem to be conservative. Not easy to deal with. They've all been dealt with. However, they probably didn't expect the Immortal Court to send someone over, so they acted in a hurry. Even though they've been dealt with, there's still many places that weren't well covered. For example, this place. If his waist was a little lower, we might be able to see the token hanging on his head. The few of them stared at the constantly swaying virtual image and commented on it. Their gazes were almost constantly fixed on them. Shin-Chi did not say a word, but his gaze was locked onto Su Yun's body. Although the 4 of them were not masked, it was obvious that their faces had been altered, and their true appearances were not like that. Their waists were also very clean. Although there was a slight movement of the token on their waists, it would not reveal their identity. Wait! At this moment, Shun-Chi suddenly shouted. When the person dragging the mirror heard this, he immediately tapped on the mirror twice. The flickering light on the mirror immediately stopped flickering, and the halo that came out of the mirror immediately stopped. Shun-Chi ran over to Su-Yun and stared at Su-Yun's hand that was holding onto the sword. His eyes immediately became long and narrow. "Big brother, what's wrong?" the person beside him asked. But Shun-Chi did not care about his words and continued to stare at Su-Yun's hand. After a moment, his face sank into deep thought. Everyone looked at each other with a confused look on their faces. "Pay attention to his hand." After a while, Shun-Chi said solemnly. Everyone immediately looked at Su-Yun's hand. The man was holding the end of the sword hilt. His index and middle fingers were pressed against the top of the sword hilt. This kind of grip was very unstable, but it also had a sense of flexibility. There was a short silence. His hand. Could it be the faulty sword force that the people of the Jing Yu Emperor Palace use? At this moment, someone said in a deep voice. When everyone heard this, they were all shocked. Faulty sword force. This is the sword stance that the people of the Jing Yu Emperor Palace often use. It is said that the power of this sword lies in the fact that the person can change the stance of the sword at will. When facing the enemy, the opponent is unable to guess the direction of your sword. Could it be that these people are? The moment Lin Yujing was released back to the Jing Yu Emperor Palace, something happened here. Could this be a coincidence? Shun-Chi said solemnly. As the sound of his voice faded, everyone fell into silence. But, Lin Yujing has been appraised by the mind-reading technique, and the facts have already proven that he has nothing to do with the death of the Four Seas Empyrean. If he was the one who did this, then why? The people beside him opened their mouths, but didn't know what to say. Shun-Chi was silent for a moment, then finally closed his eyes and said in a deep voice, "The mind-reading technique cannot be wrong, but it cannot be said that there are no immortal arts in this world that can be stronger than the mind-reading technique. This matter is too complicated. We should first return to the Immortal Court and report this matter to Lord Zunli before making any plans. Since it has nothing to do with this matter, then we need to take care of this matter properly. Otherwise, if this matter were to spread out, it would have a huge impact on the reputation of our Immortal Court. Don't worry, seventh brother, leave this matter to me. I've always been at ease with you doing things. All right, let's not talk anymore. Let's go back first." Yes. As soon as everyone finished speaking, they all left. On a secluded place in the clouds, Su-Yun removed the disguise on his face and heaved a sigh of relief. He looked at the tribulation fire in his hand and kept it back into the sword sheath. Xingbai, Xiangyang, and Wei Ming also heaved a sigh of relief. The Immortal Court is the Immortal Court after all. It truly lives up to its name. Those few people might not have a high position in the Immortal Court, but their strength is actually comparable to a sect master. It's truly terrifying. Xiangyang couldn't help but say. They're indeed very strong, but in reality, our sects are not considered big. If it were those super sects, then their strength would be too low. A true sect master can cover the sky with one hand and suppress all worlds with a stomp of his feet. These few people are actually nothing, and of course, we're also nothing. Wei Ming shook his head and said seriously, "Now is not the time to discuss who is strong and who is weak. If we really want to compare with our current strength, I'm afraid we can't even compare to 1% of the immortal world. However, we also have our advantages, so there's no need to belittle ourselves." Su-Yin tidied up his clothes and said indifferently, "After this, I believe that the Eight Harmonies sect will be a little quieter. You don't have to worry about Kai Tian. His memories have already been erased by me. Later on, I will remove this spell for him, and don't let the erased memories show any unnaturalness, causing people to be suspicious. Master, can we really dispel Kai Tian's doubts just now? Kai Tian's memories have been sealed, and they haven't been able to pry into much. At the very least, the Immortal Court won't know about what happened after Kai Tian met us. Not only that, this time, it might even cause some trouble for Lin Yujing." Su-Yun coldly snorted. He spoke too much at the immortal court and caused me a lot of trouble. This time, I will more or less have to return the favor. Bring trouble to Lin Yujing? We didn't seem to have done anything. Xing Bai had a puzzled look on his face. However, Wei Ming and Xiang Yang laughed out loud. Sect leader Xing, you don't know, but before this operation, Master asked me about the habits and unique immortal techniques of the people of the Jingyu Emperor Palace. Coincidentally, I had done some research on the Jingyu Emperor Palace and knew a little, so I told Master about it. Why are you asking this? Xing Bai was even more confused. Knowing this, I'll be able to perform, Su Yun said indifferently. Previously, when I was fighting, I would unintentionally reveal some of the fighting methods and habits of the Jingyu Emperor Palace. Although I did not do it very well, it just so happened to give others the impression that I was deliberately hiding it. Master, do you think that these little tricks that you have revealed will cause the people of the Immortal Court to suspect the people of the Jingyu Emperor Palace? But when the people of the Immortal Court fought with us, they might not have been able to see it. Xing Bai said, even if they can't see it, it doesn't matter. But if they can see it, it would naturally be better. I believe that the people of the Immortal Court will not be limited to this. Su Yun looked into the distance and said indifferently, all of you, prepare yourselves. If the people from the Eight Harmonies sect come to report that the people of the Immortal Court have left, we will go and remove the seal on Kai Tian's memories. Yes, sir. The three of them nodded. Seeing that, Su Yun sat down quietly and closed his eyes to meditate. Although the matter was over, his mind was in a mess. If the people of the Immortal Court could not obtain any results from Kai Tian, they would probably lock onto the True Devil Realm once again. Although the people of the True Devil Realm had retreated towards the underworld, the Immortal Court had missed. So how could they let the matter rest? Su Yun did not know how many methods the people of the Immortal Court had, nor did he understand the underworld, but with the current strength of the immortal world, perhaps a mere underworld would not be able to stop them. Other than the worries of the Immortal Court, Su Yun was also worried about the person who planned the chaos in the Immortal Sect. He was the one who caused the chaos in the immortal world, but the chaos in the Immortal Sect was not planned by him. What was their goal? Was Lin Yujing related to them or not? All of this was like a mystery, shrouding Su Yun's thoughts. Master, the people from the Eight Harmonies sect are here. At this moment, Wei Ming, who was at the side, cupped his fists and muttered. Su Yun looked over and saw a figure floating out from the sea of clouds in the distance. When the person saw Su Yun and the other three, he immediately increased his speed and rushed over, bowing to the four of them. Greetings, my lords. How's the situation at the Eight Harmonies sect? Su Yun said indifferently. Reporting to Master, the people of the Immortal Court have already left and are returning to the Immortal Court. Did they say anything? No. Their words have all been processed by immortal techniques. Even if we stood by the side, we wouldn't be able to hear them. The man said. Su Yun rubbed his chin and thought for a moment, then said indifferently, you can go back first, watch the sky. We'll be there soon. Yes, my lord. With that, he flew off into the distance. Chapter 1093. Pata! A crisp sound rang out. A halo of light was released in the dim pavilion. The person sitting cross-legged in the middle of the pavilion slowly opened his eyes and looked at the people standing beside him. He immediately stood up and cupped his fists and said, Thank you, my lords. There's no need to care about these formalities. Since you're fine, that's for the best. Su Yun said indifferently. Kai Tian cupped his fists again, his heart filled with gratitude. If Su Yun used the heart-controlling pill to kill him, then everything would be extremely easy. No matter how powerful the Immortal Court was, it would be impossible for them to dig out anything from the mouth of a dead person. However, Su Yun did not choose the simplest method. Instead, he used the most complicated method to solve this matter, even taking the risk and wasting manpower and money. Kai Tian did not think that he was the most important person to Su Yun. After all, if he died, there would be more people taking over his position. However, Su Yun did not abandon him at the critical moment. Even if the people from the Immortal Court were here, he still chose to stand up. Kai Tian did not know what kind of mentality Su Yun had when he stood up, But no matter what the situation was, he understood that it all came from Su Yun himself and was no longer being used. Although the Immortal Court has temporarily dispelled their suspicions towards you, this does not mean that you will be safe in the future. The people from the Immortal Court are not that easy to fool. Maybe they will come again tomorrow. You should prepare some countermeasures as soon as possible, in case you are like this time, at your wit's end and almost forced to a dead end. Su Yun said casually. This subordinate understands. Kai Tian cupped his fists again. Yes. Su Yun nodded his head. He stood up, looked around, and said indifferently, You take care of the matters here. We will go back first. If anything happens, you must inform us immediately, understand? Yes, yes. Kai Tian cupped his fists again. Su Yun immediately turned and walked out of the octagon gate. He did not know what was going on at the side of the Jingyu Imperial Palace. But if Shun Qi and the rest really had some ability, then the things that he had inadvertently revealed should have shifted their attention back to Lin Yujing. Although Lin Yujing had accepted the mind-reading test, it did not mean that the Jingyu Imperial Palace was innocent. After leaving the Eight Harmonies sect, Su Yun immediately brought all the people in charge and rushed towards the Immortal Seeking sect's base camp. Su Yun did not let everyone go to their respective sects, because other than here, Su Yun still had to wait for news from one more person, and that was Qin Xianlong, who had led his men into the true devil realm with the Immortal Court. With Su Yun's relationship with a few immortal sects, it was relatively easy to send Qin Xianlong into the candidate team. 2 days ago, Qin Xianlong had already been confirmed and led 3,000 elites into the Immortal Court. It was said that most of the sects had already been confirmed, and they did not know when they would set off, but no matter when they set off, it was an extremely good opportunity for Su Yun. The people of the immortal world were all focused on the true devil realm, so there were many places that they would ignore. Since the Immortal Court had already confirmed the existence of Su Yun's group of people in the dark, then there was no need to continue hiding. As long as they did not expose their identities, they could do anything. After returning to the sect, Su Yun summoned Su Luluo and asked him about the recent movements of the Immortal Court. Strictly speaking, the matter of investigating Kai Tian was not a big deal and was handled by the Immortal Court's envoy. Although attacking the true devil realm this time was not an extremely difficult matter, it involved the immortals and devils and attracted a lot of attention. 5 days later, the sects that were attacking the true devil realm had already been determined. 30 sects. Each sect had 3,000 people. Adding the 10,000 people from the Immortal Court, there were a total of nearly 100,000 immortals heading towards the true devil realm. After confirming the number of people, after waiting for about 3 days, the Immortal Court started to send out their troops. However, the news of the true devil realm retreating had already spread to the immortal world. After all, how could the immortal world not know about the retreat of a realm? However, the Immortal Court did not stop this matter. After all, it was not easy to evacuate the people of a realm, and it was impossible for them to evacuate in such a short period of time. The Immortal Court was already in a difficult position. Because of the quota, the Immortal Court had gained a lot of benefits. If the attack was cancelled, it would not be easy for them to appease the immortal sects. So forget about the true devil realm already starting to retreat. Even if they had already retreated completely, the Immortal Court would still launch an attack, allowing the immortal sects to go to the true devil realm. Whether they went or not was one thing. Whether they were there or not was another. Those immortal sects had also received the news about the current situation in the true devil realm, but they still could not believe that the true devil realm would actually give the order to retreat. Although many immortals knew that the Immortal Court was about to punish the true devil realm, and it was not a secret, the current immortal world and the demon world were two completely different worlds. The cultivation of the people of the demon world was low, and even the news was not well informed. How did they know that they were going to attack them? Even if they knew, they wouldn't be able to react in time. They would most likely retreat in a hurry, and the situation would be in chaos. Many people from the immortal sects were already ready to make a move. They rubbed their palms together, preparing to show off their skills after entering the true devil realm. They were openly and justifiably burning, killing, and plundering. Who wouldn't want to do such a good job? But 3 days later, the immortal court sent out their troops. The mighty army of 100,000 immortals passed through several planes and entered the true devil realm. The scene in front of them was unbelievable, the entire true devil realm. The sky was dark, and the ground was pitch black. There were a few magical beasts swaying above, but as for the devil cultivator, there was not a single one to be seen. The true devil realm was completely silent. Even the magical beasts were extremely rare, and the sound they made could not make a single noise in this huge true devil realm. This place, it was as if it had been completely forgotten, as if it had been completely reduced to an uninhabited ruin. The immortals widened their eyes, unable to believe what they were seeing. And the commander-in-chief of this demon-slaying team, the fourth stage Immortal Court envoy, the head of the Ministry of Justice, Xiaoyu, flew up and stood in the air above the army. She was a young girl who looked to be in her early 20s with short hair. The young girl was dressed in a tight black brocade robe, with 7 or 8 tokens hanging from her waist. Her skin was fair, and her face was filled with heroic spirit. However, other than her heroic spirit, she also had a sense of sophistication that was not weak at all. If one had good eyesight, they would be able to tell that she was different from what they saw on the surface. Everyone, don't panic. There was news earlier that the people of the true devil realm had already found out that our immortal world was about to attack them, so they had already evacuated. You can't see the devil cultivator now, so it can only be said that a portion of them have already escaped or hidden. However, demons are demons after all. Even if they hide in the darkest corner, they will not be able to hide their despicable and ugly figures. Everyone, let's go. The purpose of this battle is to completely exterminate this kind of thing, regardless of the consequences, regardless of the cost. Let the darkness disappear from the myriad worlds forever. Xiaoyu pulled out a slender blade from her waist, pointing the blade towards the sky as she shouted loudly. When she said this, the people who were still somewhat dejected immediately became spirited. After thinking about it carefully, they felt that it was quite reasonable and immediately rushed forward. Although Xiaoyu was the commander of this demon-slaying operation, she did not have any battle plans or strategies. In the eyes of these immortals, demons were actually just some lowly existences. If it wasn't for the fact that they were once powerful and the countless treasures and resources left behind by those great demons, the immortals would not even look at them in the eye. After Xiaoyu shouted, these people immediately dispersed. The previously orderly army of 100,000 immediately scattered like headless flies, as if they were casting a net, and began to cover the entire demon realm. Puff, Poochie, swish on the side of the road. Those strangely shaped demons were all wrapped in snow-white immortal power. All of them died miserably, and some didn't even have a corpse left. But the demonic beings were scattered and not densely packed. What was shocking was that these 100,000 people searched for half an incense stick of time, but they couldn't find a single devil cultivator. None of them are here. What's going on? Where are those cunning devil cultivator-esses? Where did they all run off to? Why didn't they come out and fight with me? I think they're all hiding, right? After all, the current devils are simply unable to contend against us immortals. In the end, they're just some despicable things. Shouts rang out incessantly. The fleeing immortals had already become impatient. They discovered that the demonic beings they could bump into were all existences with low intelligence. In this half of the demon realm, they couldn't even meet a demonic being with some intelligence. It was as if they had disappeared from the face of the earth. Half a day later, a third of the true demon realm had already been explored by these 100,000 people. It was as if they were fishing, using immortal spells to create a large number of illusions to attract the devil cultivators. But other than some low-intelligence demonic beasts, there was no harvest. When some immortals saw that the situation was getting worse and worse, they directly raised their swords and sabers, splitting the mountains and splitting the earth, crazily killing and destroying, as if everything here was their enemy. Some of the demon realm that could still be seen had already become dilapidated and a mess, as if it had experienced the end of the world. The immortals became more and more restless. Lord Xiaoyu, if this goes on, there will definitely be trouble. A disciple knelt down, and cupped his fists toward Xiaoyu. The higher the cultivation of an immortal, the better their mental state is. These impatient people are just a group of impetuous people. For the time being, there's no need to pay attention to them. They're not worth paying attention to, Xiaoyu said solemnly. As her voice fell, she waved her hand and said in a low voice, "Report this matter to the Immortal Court, and ask them to tell us the location of the true devil sect as soon as possible. Let's move." "Yes, my lord." Chapter 1094. Xiaoyu thought that everything was just a scheme, and the real situation was that Su Yun had hidden all the truth, using despicable and ugly methods to face all of this. It was just that the current Xiaoyu did not know what was going on. After announcing the attack, he had been waiting. The immortals couldn't find any traces of the Devil Man. Although they were anxious, this didn't affect their mission. Xiaoyu was here to lead the immortals. In fact, the outcome of this mission didn't have much to do with her. If she could report to the Immortal Court, it would be easier for her to report to the Immortal Court. If she didn't, the Immortal Court would lose face. The Immortal Court did not really care about the resources in the true devil realm. As the judge of the immortal world, the Immortal Court was not too poor, if not they would not have left the true devil realm until now. Since he did not care about the true devil realm, he was only doing it to save face. It could also be considered as giving an explanation to the immortal sects that were fighting for the spots to attack the true devil realm. However, this continued for half a day, but the situation was completely different from what he had imagined. Xiaoyu's eyes were wide open as he stared at the devil cultivator that was captured by the experts of the Immortal Court. The devil cultivator had a crafty look on his face, but at this moment his entire body was trembling crazily. It was obvious that he was extremely afraid. He curled up into a ball and laid on the ground, unable to even raise his head. "What did you say?" When Xiaoyu heard the devil cultivator's previous statement, he cried out involuntarily, "The people of the true devil realm have all retreated?" "Yes, yes, my lord." True. The people of the true devil realm had already planned their retreat. They had all retreated to the north. Since yesterday, there's been no one here. This little one's cultivation is low, and it has nothing to do with the true devil sect and the other great demons. It is difficult for me to stand out in the true devil realm, so I just want to take advantage of their retreat to see if I can fish in troubled waters and get some treasures. This little one didn't do anything to harm the heavens. "Big, my lord, please let me go, my lord." The devil cultivator's voice trembled violently. His eyes were filled with fear as he spoke to Xiaoyu. "Retreat to the north?" Hearing that, Xiaoyu frowned. He stared at the devil cultivator. "When did they start to retreat?" Yes, they took action 2 days ago." "Why are we going to the north? Could it be that there was a place that was easy to defend but hard to attack that could protect them? Or is there some powerful expert in the north that can resolve this tribulation for the demon world?" Xiaoyu asked again. This little one does not know. I have only heard that it seems to be related to a place in the north." The demon person lowered his head and thought for a moment before speaking carefully. "Place? Where is it? It looks like the Netherworld River." "River Styx? Where? What? Could it be that they want to defend the river and resist the power of the immortal world? Since they naively think that they can contend against the immortal world, then let us personally shatter their naive fantasies. Pass down the order, everyone immediately head north. I want to see just what kind of power the true devil realm has to be able to contend against the people of the immortal world." "Yes, my lord." The people of the Immortal Court immediately responded. However, the attitude of the devil cultivator below was different. He carefully looked at Xiaoyu, and after a long time, he said with a trembling voice, That, my lord, this little one heard that the devil cultivators are retreating to the north, and not to defend the Nether River, but to give up on the true devil realm and run far away." With that said, Xiaoyu frowned, and his eyes were like nails as he stared at the devil cultivator. The devil cultivator's body trembled even more. "What did you say?" Xiaoyu's cold voice came out. "Run far away, give up on the true devil realm." "What? They don't want this place anymore? Yes. Yes. Then where can they go? Xiaoyu suddenly stood up, took a few steps forward, and shouted in a loud voice. The devil cultivator jumped in fright and almost fell to the ground. His face was deathly pale, and his entire body was trembling like a blade of grass in the wind. Looking at Xiaoyu's aura, his liver and guts trembled. It took him a long time to calm down, and he hurriedly said, This little one is also not very clear, my lord, but this little one knows that the Nether River has always been rumored to flow from the Nether Realm. Nether Realm? Her voice froze. The others also revealed astonished expressions. Clearly, they had all heard of the Nether Realm. Xiaoyu's cold and disdainful eyes finally revealed a trace of seriousness and helplessness. The black soil was overflowing with devil chi, and the road in front of them was covered with bones. On the left and right sides were huge and pitch-black buildings. This was the most ordinary devil cultivator town. It was neither big nor small, but at this moment, the town was already deserted and not a single figure could be seen. Qin Qianlong led the elites of the Hidden Dragon Hall and found a rather large skull building. He went in, entered the barrier, and rested inside. Although there was no one in the true devil realm, the dense devil chi was everywhere. Even if the disciples did not fight with the devil cultivator, just resisting the devil chi would consume a lot of energy. In addition, as they continued to go deeper into the true devil realm, the amount of physical strength they needed became greater and greater. Although the devil cultivator had left because it was too hasty, they did not take away many resources. Although the devil cultivator was gone, their things were still there. Although they could not kill the devil cultivator, they could still harvest resources to fill the sect. This could be considered a good thing. Unfortunately, the devil cultivator was not here. So, seizing resources became the most important thing for the immortals. They frantically plundered, and no one was willing to give in, afraid that they would suffer a loss. There were also quite a few cases of fighting over the resources of the devil cultivator. These 30 sects and immortal sects were united when they first entered the demon world, but when it came to benefits, they began to oppose each other. Qin Qianlong knew that the reason he came here was not to seize resources. If he really wanted to, he wouldn't be able to get much. After all, there were too many monks and too little porridge. Hall Master, this town doesn't seem to have been touched by anyone yet. There should be a lot of things that we can use inside. Why don't we let the disciples plunder this place first and then let them rest? A deacon of the Hidden Dragon Hall at the side carefully said to Qin Qianlong. After a moment, he said indifferently, There's no rush. Although I didn't plunder this place, there's nothing good here either. I heard that most of the people in the true devil realm went to the river Styx in the north. I believe that there will definitely be some incredible things there. Let's conserve some strength and go there to fish for some soup. Let's just forget about it. If we were to fight to the death for those fellows here, it wouldn't be worth it. Sect leader seems to have a plan. Plan. Let me ask you, in the past few days, how many times have there been fights between immortal sects for resources? I heard that there were 5, but none of them were very serious. After all, the people from the immortal court were mediating in the middle. Who would dare to not give them face? What are they all for? Condensed bamboo, heartstone, ancient spring. These things are considered rare in the immortal world, but in the true devil realm, there is still a portion of them that the devil cultivator do not need, but the immortals value them greatly. However, regardless of whether it is the immortal world or the demon world, their numbers are limited. These are not extremely rare items. It's fine if we can't get them, but if we offend the people from the immortal court because of this, it's not worth it. Qin Qianlong said indifferently. That's true. The people from the 30 immortal sects are actually very mindful of their image, and they've shown themselves to be of very high quality. They've been in the devil world for a few days now, but there haven't been any large-scale conflicts. Hall Master, perhaps you also know that there are quite a few old enemies among the 30 sects who have extremely tense relationships with each other. However, all of them are able to keep their composure now. They'll take whatever resources they can, and if they can't, they'll just forget about it. No hurry. Qin Qianlong laughed coldly. and said indifferently, "How can I not be anxious?" In order to fight for the chance to attack the true devil realm, these people had spent a lot of money on the immortal court. If they couldn't get back their capital, how could they let this matter rest? Not anxious? The ordinary disciples might not be anxious, but the leaders are probably already extremely anxious. The more this goes on, the more tense the relationship between the various sects will be. Hearing this, the people beside him nodded thoughtfully. Qin Xianlong took out a spherical object from somewhere and placed it on the ground. The surface of the spherical object was covered with a large number of pitch-black whirlpool runes, and it was emitting a black light. It was extremely magical, and when it was placed on the ground, everyone present felt an inexplicable sense of oppression. What is this? Hall Master? This. Qin Xianlong stared at the ball and said indifferently, "This is a catalyst." Catalyst? Yes, a catalyst. Something that catalyzes the relationship between the various immortal sects. Qin Xianlong said solemnly, "Take this out and place in the house in the middle of this town. Do you understand?" "Yes, Hall Master." "Then tell everyone to prepare. There's going to be a bitter battle soon." Qin Xianlong took a deep breath and said indifferently, "Bitter battle? With who?" "Whoever comes to this town first and finds this pearl, then it will be with him." Chapter 1095. Hearing Qin Xianlong's words, the people at the side were all secretly shocked. What did Qin Xianlong mean by this? If he threw the bead in this town and someone else got it, who was he going to kill? Was he hoping that someone else would take it? Or did he hope that someone else wouldn't take it? He couldn't understand it all. Also, immediately send people to the vicinity and spread the news that a peerless treasure dragon power pearl has been discovered in this town. After consuming it, an immortal's cultivation will increase explosively, and whoever can snatch it will get it. The news must be accurate and unique. To the people of the Blue Desire School, say that Chu Liao has already sent people over to search for the dragon power pearl. To the people of the Five Phoenix sect, say that the people of the Dragon Hall have already gone over. These sects don't have a good relationship with each other in the past, so if they hear that their enemies have already rushed over, how can they remain indifferent? I'm afraid they will arrive even faster than the other sections. Dragon Power Pearl? Isn't this the treasure of the Carefree Palace? A disciple exclaimed. Right now it's just bait. Qin Xianlong said indifferently. Don't waste words. Hurry up and do it. Yes, Hall Master. An elite of the Hidden Dragon Hall immediately nodded. Let's wait for now. Everyone, prepare yourselves. As Qin Xianlong spoke, he waved his hand, and the disciples behind him immediately took action. The human immortal method of the Hidden Dragon Hall was agile, elegant, and extremely fast. They did not focus on the lethality of the immortal method, but on the speed and variability of the immortal method. Dealing with the people of the Hidden Dragon Hall was like dealing with a group of dragons in the clouds. One could only feel their enormous and terrifying power, but could not detect their traces. Qin Xianlong had managed the Hidden Dragon Hall for so many years, and now that he was tied together with Su Yun, he understood how serious the consequences would be for him if he succeeded or failed, but he believed that it would be easy for him to get this group of elites that were carefully selected from the Hidden Dragon Hall to do this. Qin Xianlong stood in the house that was shielded by the barrier, quietly observing the movements outside. This town was not considered prosperous, and there were not many devil cultivators inside, but this town was the only way to enter the number one sect in the true devil realm. The true devil sect. If he waited here, countless immortal sects would rush over. Crash. Sure enough, not long after, the nearest sect had already entered this silent and desolate demon town. They didn't put up much of a guard and swaggered in, scanning the buildings below. Immortal energy wantonly surged out, and the demonic energy that enveloped the town was instantly blown away. Sect leader, it's those guys from the Hall of Departing Tao. In order to scramble for the spiritual stone immortal clouds in Kaiyang Domain, they had fought with our Hidden Dragon Palace for over 40 years. Now that they've appeared, shouldn't we settle old and new grudges with them? At this time, the elite at the side immediately came over and whispered, Yes, Hall Head, these guys always bullied us before. When His Honor San Li was still alive, the entire immortal sect was extremely powerful. Even Linglong Palace couldn't match it. At that time, they started to suppress other immortal sects everywhere and did all kinds of shameless things. Therefore, all the disciples in the sect were as hot-tempered as bulls. After His Honor San Li's death, their treatment was different. After His Honor San Li's death, the overall strength of Li Dao Palace declined sharply at once. I'm afraid that they couldn't even match our Hidden Dragon Palace now. However, these guys still have a bad temper. Obviously, those immortal clouds were discovered by us. However, they still pestered us endlessly. They even quarreled with our disciples. They even thought that our Hidden Dragon Palace could be easily bullied like before. If we don't teach them a lesson this time, I'm afraid that they would say that our Hidden Dragon Palace is as weak as before. Another disciple said, "That's right, Hall Master, this time. Shut up." When the third disciple was about to speak, Qin Xianlong immediately shouted, and all the surrounding elites of the Hidden Dragon Hall closed their eyes at the same time, not daring to make any sound. Qin Xianlong's face turned cold, and his voice gradually sank. "I know you all have a great grudge against the Hall of Departing Tao, and I also know that you have been bullied a lot by them in the past. But I hope you all remember that what we're doing this time is for the sake of the sect, and those accumulated personal grudges in the past should be put aside for the time being. My Hidden Dragon Hall will never suffer losses for no reason, and it's the same this time. Do you understand?" "Yes, Hall Master," everyone immediately replied in a low voice. Although Qin Xianlong didn't make it clear, it was more or less the same. Since they wanted to settle accounts, the people from the Hall of Departing Tao naturally couldn't escape. However, if everything was to be done according to Qin Xianlong's plan, it was naturally not the time to act rashly. These elites of the Hidden Dragon Hall also understood and immediately became silent. At this moment, the disciples of the Hall of Departing Tao, who had been flying forward, suddenly shivered in unison. The person in charge of the Hall of Departing Tao, who was standing at the front, also shivered, as if he felt something different. He opened his mouth and murmured, "Wait, this aura, what exactly is it?" In the center of the city, there was a flickering light, and the person flying in the sky could feel the source of the light and could smell the source of the strange power. The person from the Hall of Departing Tao was almost completely conquered by the sudden, overflowing aura and immediately shifted his gaze towards the source of the aura. This aura, Dragon Power Pearl. There's no mistake. It must be the Dragon Power Pearl. It must be the Dragon Power Pearl. Ha ha! I didn't expect to find a Dragon Power Pearl here. Indeed, the heavens favor me. Ha ha! The person's laughter was extremely exaggerated. He didn't care about his own disciples and directly rushed towards the source of the aura. Of course, the people of the Hall of Departing Tao wouldn't just watch their disciples rush towards the source of the aura, and naturally, they all followed. Therefore, the thousands of people of the Hall of Departing Tao all rushed towards the source of the aura. Seeing this, the person from the Hidden Dragon Hall, who was always paying attention to the Hall of Departing Tao, immediately turned back and reported to Qin Xianlong. "Dao-san, this guy is unscrupulous because he is the younger brother of the hall leader of the Hall of Departing Tao. In this situation, what we should do is to understand and investigate, instead of losing our minds because of a treasure like the Dragon Power Pearl. He doesn't deserve to be the Vice Hall leader. Since the Hall of Departing Tao is already like this, what else do we need to worry about?" Qin Xianlong said faintly and directly waved his hand. The disciples of the Hidden Dragon Hall behind him drew out their swords from their waists and were ready to fight at any time. Qin Xianlong placed the Dragon Power Pearl in the abdomen of a dead demon giant in the center of the building. Its body was already rotten, and its bones were clean. The abdomen had actually become the frame of the building and was especially magical and beautiful. Dao-san was attracted by the Dragon Power Pearl placed in the center of the building and directly flew in. He didn't investigate the surroundings, but at this time, there was no need for him to do so. After all, the demons were no match for the immortals, and he wasn't worried that the demons would harm them. However, At this moment, anyone with a bit of foresight would know that they were not only dealing with the demons, but also with the greedy immortals. Compared to the demons, the immortals were the scariest. Dowson seemed to have locked onto the aura, and the moment he rushed into the building, he immediately unleashed a barrage of attacks, smashing the useless things around him into pieces. Immediately, the dragon power pearl that was hidden under a withered skeleton reappeared in everyone's sight. Dowson looked at the halo of the pearl, and his face was filled with joy, as if he couldn't believe what he was seeing. Wonderful, 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 wonderful. I didn't expect to find such a treasure in the true demon realm. This is simply too wonderful, Dowson exclaimed excitedly. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. He carefully extended his hand and held the dragon power pearl in his palm. A pair of bean-sized eyes carefully examined the pearl, and his eyes were filled with greed. The people from the Hall of Leaving Dao followed him over, and when they saw Dao San's reaction, they all fell silent. This aura, I'm afraid it's the dragon power pearl. Vice Hall Master, I really didn't expect that we would be so lucky to obtain this treasure. At this moment, a middle-aged man with a goatee came over and looked at the pearl in Dao San's hand, and couldn't help but praise. My luck has never been bad. So what's so strange about obtaining this treasure? Dao San snorted, and his face was full of pride. Of course. The man with the goatee hurriedly flattered him, glanced at the bead, and said with a smile, I heard that this treasure can greatly improve an immortal's cultivation. If the Hall Master knew that you, Vice Hall Master, obtained this treasure, I wonder how happy he would be. Happy? Dao San's expression suddenly changed, and his eyes narrowed. He turned his head and looked around. When he saw the people around him, he subconsciously withdrew his hand that was holding the pearl and said coldly, What are you happy about? What's there to be happy about? The man with the goatee was stunned. Vice Hall Master. What's the matter? What's there to be so happy about? What are you all gathered here for? Vice Hall Master, the dragon power pearl. What dragon power pearl? Dao San's expression changed, and he shouted, You found the dragon power pearl? Where is it? Where is it? Tell me. If you don't find it, then shut up, understand? Don't give me too much of your tongue, or I'll cut it off. Do you hear me? Yes. The man with the goatee quickly nodded. He finally understood that Dao San was planning to take the dragon power pearl for himself. Whoosh at this moment. Immortal chi rippled in the distance, and a dense aura blew towards them. Then there was the sound of countless people tearing through the air, and a large number of immortals rushed over. Dao San sensed the movement, and his expression changed slightly, and he quickly shouted, Someone's coming. Be careful. Chapter 1096. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. Several voices rang out, and a large number of figures suddenly landed in the building. The immortals' sudden intrusion reduced the already dilapidated building to rubble, which fell to the ground. Dao San frowned, and the people of the Hall of Demonic Dao gathered around him, looking around. A large number of men and women dressed in fiery red robes appeared in the surroundings. These people's cultivations were all extremely terrifying, and each of their bodies had an extremely high temperature, like a ball of fire. The most eye-catching person was a man whose entire body was ignited with a large amount of flames. This man was extremely handsome, but his skin was completely red, and his long hair was also as red as blood. He held a thin rod in his hand, floating in the air, and his entire person ignited the dark sky of the true devil realm. Dao San's expression turned ugly when he saw this man. Yin Chincho. Dao San stared at the man floating in the air and shouted, Isn't this Hall Master Dao? Why are you holing up here with your group of disciples? What's so special about this place? Yin Chincho said indifferently, but his eyes were filled with deep contempt when he looked at Dao San. Qin Xianlong, who was hiding in the dark, was not surprised by Yin Chincho's attitude. When the Hall of Demonic Dao was at its peak, Yin Chincho had also suffered at the hands of the Hall of Demonic Dao. It was only natural that he did not have a good impression of the Hall of Demonic Dao. Dao San also knew the reason, But from Yin Qinshuo's words, it seemed that he did not know that he had just obtained a supreme treasure. If that was the case, Yin Qinshuo would not have wasted his breath here and would have attacked directly. Yin Qinshuo, don't be too proud. Although the Hall of Demonic Tao is not what it used to be, the current Hall of Demonic Tao is still not something you can afford to offend. You'd better be careful. If you provoke us again, we won't be polite to you. Dao San said, then turned around and waved his hand, shouting, "Let's go." Yes. The people of the Hall of Demonic Tao left one after another. Yin Qinshuo frowned slightly when he saw this, but did not say anything. He only snorted. In an instant, the men and women in the sky moved, surrounding Dao San and the others. Dao San's expression changed. Yin Qinshuo, what do you mean by this? What do you mean? Yin Qinshuo snorted and said indifferently, "Since you're already here, let's have a nice chat. Why are you in such a hurry to leave? It's rare for us to meet. Let's talk more. I wonder when we'll meet again. Am I right, Hall Master Dao?" In order to obtain the qualifications to attack the true devil realm, everyone has spent an unknown amount of time, energy, and financial resources. Now, instead of quickly obtaining resources and thinking of ways to obtain more benefits, we are wasting time here. Do you think it's worth it? Dao San said. Hearing that, Yin Qinshuo snorted again and again. His eyes were no longer filled with contempt, but were filled with even more anger. So, your original intention for coming to the true devil realm was to obtain benefits? This, shameless people have their own opinions. I, Yin Qinshuo, disdain associating with you. Just leave. I feel disgusted if someone like you enters my sight for even a second longer. Yin Qinshuo snorted. Dao San opened his mouth. Although he was unhappy, there was no point in wasting words with Yin Qinshuo since he had already obtained the Dragon Power Orb. He immediately turned around and prepared to leave with his people. This time, Yin Qinshuo did not plan to make Dao San stay. Although his attitude was arrogant, he did not dare to underestimate Dao San's strength. If the two sides were to really fight, Yin Qinshuo, would definitely lose a lot of people. After all, Dao San's strength was not just for show. If they really fought, no one knew what the result would be. Yin Qinshuo's goal this time was only to humiliate Yin Qinshuo so that he could get back the face he had lost in the past. However, just as Dao San was about to leave, a large number of figures appeared out of nowhere. These existences were all wearing scarlet yellow clothes, and all of them were agile. Almost in an instant, they landed in front of Dao San and the others, who were about to leave, and directly blocked their path. Dao San was shocked. After taking a closer look, he discovered that the group of people in front of him was the Hidden Dragon Hall, which had recently become famous and their strength had soared. The person leading them was the Hall Master of the Hidden Dragon Hall, Qin Qianlong. Yo, isn't this Hall Master Qin? Hall Master Qin, I've heard of your name for a long time. I've long heard that Hall Master Qin is heroic and has an extraordinary bearing. Now that I've seen you, you truly live up to your reputation. Dao San hurriedly said with a smile. The current Qin Qianlong, on the surface, controlled the Deling Long Palace and the Carefree Palace, and in the dark he had the full support of Su Yun and the true Devil Realm. Now, he could be said to be like the sun in the sky. Whether it was Dao San or Yin Qinshuo, it was natural for them to be respectful to him. Yin Qinshuo was no exception. When he saw Qin Qianlong, he immediately flew over and cupped his fists. Hall Master Qin. Qin Qianlong swept a glance at Yin Qinshuo and Dao San. Then his gaze landed on Dao San and said indifferently, Dao San, I've already seen it. Why are you hiding it? Hand it over, otherwise if we fight it won't look good. Dao San was startled, but his heart suddenly jumped. He secretly hid his guilt and pretended to be confused and asked, Hall Master Qin, what are you talking about? Why are you pretending to be confused? How could you not know what I'm talking about? Qin Qianlong said indifferently. Long ago, I smelled the scent, and when I rushed here, you were the first to be here. From the looks of it, you should have obtained the Dragon Power Pearl, right? Dragon Power Pearl? Yin Qinshuo frowned, and with a swoosh, his gaze locked onto Dao San's body. Dao San's face paled, and sweat flowed down his forehead. Hall Hall Master Qin, what dragon power pearl? I don't understand. Although there were some misunderstandings between the Hall of Leaving Tao and the Hidden Dragon Hall in the past, it was just a fight between disciples, and it wasn't a big deal. Hall Master Qin, Dao San, respect you, and your magnanimity shouldn't be limited to this. Dao San took a deep breath, trying to force himself to calm down, but at this moment, he knew that he couldn't hold on any longer. You're really stubborn. Qin Qianlong snorted coldly, and suddenly made a move, grabbing towards Dao San. Dao San panicked and immediately retreated, dodging Qin Qianlong's attack. Seeing that Qin Qianlong had chosen to make a move, Dao San knew that it wouldn't be easy to obtain the Dragon Power Pearl today. He took a deep breath, and the panic in his heart disappeared, replaced by determination. Since Hall Master Qin is sure that the Dragon Power Pearl is with me, then there's nothing more to say. You can say whatever you want, but if you want to fight, Dao San won't allow it. Then, Dao San waved his hand and shouted, "Attack! Let these people from the Hidden Dragon Hall know that we, the Hall of Leaving Tao, are not to be trifled with." Dao San had thrown caution to the wind, and Qin Qianlong naturally wouldn't hold back. Immediately, the two sides started fighting. Yan Xianshou was a little baffled, but he was sure that Dao San must have obtained the so-called Pearl of Dragon Power, because he had also faintly smelled the scent of the Pearl of Dragon Power, which was why he rushed over. However, he wasn't sure. Dao San had endured the humiliation and tried to leave repeatedly. If he didn't obtain something good, how could he be like this? Dragon Power Pearl. Yan Xianshou's heart raced. It was said that when immortals consumed a Dragon Power Pearl, their cultivation would skyrocket. Although its effect couldn't be compared to the body of a god, it was still a very rare treasure. It was said that if it was exchanged for celestial coins, it would be worth at least hundreds of millions. Didn't these immortal sects come to the Devil Realm for resources? If they could obtain the Dragon Power Pearl, not only would they earn back the money they spent on opening the Immortal Court, they would also bring a considerable amount of wealth to their sections. Even if they didn't exchange the Dragon Power Pearl for celestial coins, they would still benefit greatly from it. Thinking of this, Yan Xianshou couldn't help but be tempted. Bang! In the end, Dao San wasn't Qin Qianlong's match. With a single punch, he fell to the ground and vomited blood. The elites of the Hidden Dragon Hall were all indescribably strong. Adding to the fact that they had been bullied by the people of the Hall of Parting Tao before, they were extremely angry and fought with all their might. The people of the Hall of Parting Tao couldn't hold on any longer. After a while, the outcome of the battle was clear. Qin Qianlong placed his hands behind his back and looked at Dao San, who was lying on the ground. He walked over with a cold expression, "Hand over the Dragon Power Pearl, or else don't blame me for being ruthless. I'll hand it over. Don't kill me." Dao San knew that he was no match for Qin Qianlong. If he didn't hand it over, he might even be killed. After some thought, he could only grit his teeth and speak. "Then give it to me obediently." Qin Qianlong stretched out his hand. Dao San hesitated for a moment, but in the end, he took out the Dragon Power Pearl from his spatial bag. The dazzling light was especially dazzling in the night sky. The moment it appeared, everyone's attention was immediately drawn to it. Even Yan Xianshou, who was far away, was no exception. Qin Qianlong glanced around and found that everyone was attracted by the Dragon Force bead. Therefore, he silently turned around and looked at the elite of Hidden Dragon Palace on his side. The elite slightly nodded. Qin Qianlong understood his meaning as he touched the Dragon Force bead in Dao San's hand. Even though Dao San was extremely unwilling, how could he dare to disobey the people of the Hidden Dragon Hall? Yan Xianshou secretly clenched his fists and stared at the Dragon Power Pearl. However, he didn't dare to move. He had just witnessed Qin Qianlong's strength. If he forcefully made a move, he might not be able to gain any advantage. Moreover, he might even offend the Hidden Dragon Hall. If that was the case, the loss would outweigh the gain. However, at this moment, countless footsteps could be heard from all directions. A large amount of immortal qi surged over like a tidal wave. Chapter 1097. The powerful immortal energy from all directions was like a terrifying wave sweeping over here. Everyone's expression changed, and they looked around in unison. A large number of immortals had landed in the surroundings. They were either standing on the ground or floating in the air. In an instant, close to 10,000 people had surrounded the area. The scene was so packed that not even a drop of water could trickle through. In the distance, a large number of figures were still approaching. Daosan's expression was extremely ugly. Why did so many immortals suddenly appear out of nowhere? Did they all sense the aura of the Dragon Power Pearl? Yin Qianshou, who was still a little restless, did not dare to have any other thoughts when he saw this scene. He immediately retreated to the side with his disciples and waited to see what would happen. Although he was not afraid of Daosan, he was not invincible. Since so many immortals had suddenly appeared, it was better to protect himself. However, what was rather strange was why all these immortals had come here. They seemed to be rushing here with a purpose. Could it be that they had received some kind of news? As more and more immortals arrived, the crowd became more and more impatient. A group of immortals directly surrounded Qin Qianlong, Daosan, and the others with unfriendly expressions. They shouted in a low voice, "Let me ask you, did you obtain the Dragon Power Pearl?" Qin Qianlong did not say anything, but Daosan could no longer remain silent. He immediately shouted and pointed at Qin Qianlong, shouting loudly, "The Dragon Power Pearl is with Qin Qianlong, with Qin Qianlong." Qin Qianlong obtained the Dragon Power Pearl. He obtained the Dragon Power Pearl. Daosan shouted at the top of his lungs, as if he was afraid that the people around him could not hear him. As soon as he finished speaking, the countless immortals' gazes locked onto Qin Qianlong and the others from the Hidden Dragon Hall. Their gazes were especially scorching, causing the people being stared at to feel hot all over. With Daosan's shout, Qin Qianlong immediately became the target of everyone. Daosan looked at the indifferent Qin Qianlong and smiled sinisterly. He muttered in a low voice, "This time, let's see how arrogant you can be. Let's wait and see." Without a doubt, the immortals who had rushed here were all here for the Dragon Power Pearl. Now that they knew that Qin Qianlong had obtained the Dragon Power Pearl, how could these people remain indifferent? "Halt, Master Qin, hand over the Dragon Power Pearl." A man walked up and said directly. However, the others were clearly not as patient as this man and had already decided to make a move. Since they were here for the Dragon Power Pearl, how could they hand it over so easily? Unexpectedly, at this moment, Qin Qianlong took out the Dragon Power Ball that he had just put in and placed it in front of everyone. He slowly opened his mouth and said in a deep voice, "The Dragon Power Pearl is a treasure. I know this, but I also know that I will not be able to keep this treasure. The reason why the Hidden Dragon Hall came to the True Devil Realm this time is to eradicate the evil spirits, not to snatch the treasure. Since this treasure is not fated with me, then I can only choose to abandon this treasure. Everyone, if any of you want a Dragon Power Pearl, just take it." Qin Qianlong said, then slightly exerted his strength and directly threw the Dragon Power Pearl in his hand into the air. The moment the beautiful bead left his palm, several rays of light shot out from all directions and rushed towards the bead. Although many of the people present had never seen the Dragon Power Pearl before, the powerful and mysterious aura could not be mistaken. Even if it was not a Dragon Power Pearl, it was definitely a treasure. Therefore, no one was willing to let go at this time. The rays of light were the surrounding immortals. They rushed over, and only after a few breaths of time did the rest of the people regain their senses. Everyone looked at the Dragon Power Pearl that was still floating in the air, and as if they had lost their minds, they crazily squeezed towards it. Daosan was stunned. He was still in a daze as he looked at Qin Qianlong, who was gradually retreating from the crowd. His entire mind did not have the time to react. Give up? And he gave up just like that? Daosan could not believe what he was seeing. How could Qin Qianlong give up on the Dragon Power Pearl so easily? Although it was indeed the best choice to play it safe, but did Qin Qianlong not have the slightest bit of attachment to the Dragon Power Pearl? The Dragon Power Pearl reappeared, but more and more immortals were surging over. Many of these immortals had accumulated grudges against each other for a long time. Now that the Dragon Power Pearl had reappeared, it was like a tear in their resentment. They immediately lost their usual calmness and settled old and new grudges at the same time. The scene became extremely chaotic. Dao San was also surprised that things had turned out this way, but now that things had come to this, it was useless to say anything more. He looked at Qin Qianlong, only to find that the corners of his mouth had curled up into an obscure smile. He led the people of the Hidden Dragon Hall and quietly retreated from the city. While everyone was fighting for the Dragon Power Pearl, he left without a sound. At this moment, Dao San understood that Qin Qianlong did not care about the so-called Dragon Power Pearl at all. But if he did not care, why did he come here? Whoosh! At this moment, a sharp light shot over. Dao San was shocked and quickly dodged. When he stabilized his body, he saw a few immortals attacking him. "What are you doing? I don't have a Dragon Power Pearl." Dao San shouted. "I know you don't have a Dragon Power Pearl, but that doesn't stop us from killing you." An immortal bellowed. "Dao San, your Hall of Li Dao killed my big brother 70 years ago. This blood feud should be settled today, right?" With that, the immortals rushed towards Dao San. The matter of the true devil realm quickly spread to Su Yun's ears. Of course, the Dragon Power Pearl was not the root cause of the chaos. Su Yun also understood that just one Dragon Power Pearl was not enough to achieve such an effect. Although it was also a treasure, it was not the body of a god, so the effect could not be too shocking, but it was still not bad. For this, Su Yun specially selected a few more treasures and gave them to Qin Qianlong, allowing him to be in charge of releasing them, allowing the people of the immortal sects to fight to the death. Under the temptation of several treasures and Qin Qianlong's deliberate provocation, the relationship between the various immortal sects began to deteriorate rapidly. In the end, it broke down, and the demon-slaying army organized by the Immortal Court also became fragmented and full of internal troubles. In a few days, four sects had become the victims of this chaotic battle and were completely destroyed. When the news reached their sects came to the Immortal Court to demand justice. If they died in the hands of the true Devil Realm, it would be understandable, but there was not a single person in the true Devil Realm, so the destruction of these sects could only be done by people from the Immortal Realm. Furthermore, Su Yun had purposely spread the news, and it had already spread throughout the entire immortal world. Countless immortal sects had already begun to suspect that the Immortal Court still had the means to lead the immortal sects to continue developing. After all, the chaos had already lasted for a long time, and there was still no sign of the Immortal Court. The immortal envoy of the Immortal Court, Sha Yu, had yet to send any news to the Immortal Court, so he did not know how the true Devil Realm had developed. But no matter what, the frequent appearance of the true Devil Realm's treasures had caused countless immortal sects to turn red. Some of the immortal sects had already started to ignore the immortal rules and secretly transport their elites towards the true Devil Realm, planning to go in and search for treasures. Although the immortal world was big, there were countless immortals. Most of the resources in the immortal world had already been occupied by powerful immortals or immortal sections. Although the Immortal Court was extremely strict in this area, no matter how strict it was, in the face of benefits, everyone would choose to take the risk. The demon-slaying Immortal Court army had already been completely messed up by Qin Qianlong. He believed that this wave of Immortal Court army would not stay in the true Devil Realm for too long. Once the sects were mostly dead or injured, he would let Qin Qianlong take back the treasures and retreat. Su Yun specially sent people to the underworld to contact Octagon Aniseed, but when he sent them, they entered the underworld and lost contact. He did not know if they were alive or dead, which made Su Yun very worried. He did not know what was going on in the underworld. Things went much smoother than he had imagined. After 33 days, more than half of the elites of the various sects that had been sent to attack the true Devil Realm with the Immortal Court army had died. Almost none of them died at the hands of the true Devil Realm. Most of them died at the hands of the immortal sects who were fighting for the treasures, and even the Immortal Court army, led by Sha Yu, were attacked. When the news reached the Immortal Court could no longer sit still. Zunli came out to calm the emotions of the various sect leaders and quickly issued an edict for Xiaoyu to lead everyone back to the immortal court. Anyone who disobeyed the order would be killed immediately without mercy. Under the iron fist of the immortal court, the situation was finally under control. The people from the various sects finally began to retreat, and the turbulent true devil realm gradually returned to its former calmness. The people of the immortal court came quickly and left quickly. However, in the eyes of some wise people, such an ending was not surprising, because regardless of whether it was the people of the immortal court or the various sects, they were all acting with the attitude of seeking benefits. Their motives were not pure, so how could there be a good outcome? After the people of the immortal court left, the true devil realm was temporarily safe, but no matter if it was Chi-Chi or Su-Yun, they did not think that this was the end, so no devil cultivator returned to the true devil realm. They continued to stay in the underworld, and believed that the immortal court also knew that all of the devil cultivator had retreated to the underworld. If the immortal court really wanted to exterminate the devil cultivator, they could attack the underworld. However, the immortal court had placed all of their focus on the internal strife in the immortal world, and no longer cared about the people of the true devil realm, nor did they talk about anything related to the underworld. Regarding this, Su-Yun was even more curious. Just what was so special about this underworld? In the myriad heavens realm, there was very little news about the underworld. Perhaps this was a realm that was unique to the immortal world. Chapter 1098. There were no big problems with the true devil realm, but on the other hand, the immortal court was troubled by a bunch of troubles. Su-Yun was naturally very relaxed. He believed that the immortal court would not have the time to care about Su-Yun anymore, and he had a lot of time to make some preparations to deal with the immortal court. Now that the matter of the true devil realm appearing in the immortal world had been exposed, it was impossible for Su-Yun to retreat. He could only keep a low profile and secretly develop, waiting for the opportunity to see if he could advance further. If he could borrow the power in his hands to allow the true devil realm to have the power to protect himself, then Su-Yun would be able to retreat successfully. After an unknown amount of time, both the immortal and demon realms calmed down. Time would always be able to dilute everything. Whether it was anger or hatred, they would all disappear with the passage of time. The restless people of the immortal world also slowly calmed down. Regardless of whether the people of the immortal court gave them an explanation or not, they would eventually choose to return to silence. During this period of time, Su-Yun had been cultivating in the immortal seeking sect, and what he lacked the most was cultivation. In the battle with the void spirit, he knew that the immortal world was different from the other realms, and the methods of the immortals were far beyond his imagination. Even though he had a powerful method like the Devil's Saint Devil Soul, he was still powerless against the void spirit. If the Devil's Saint Devil Soul was broken, what methods could he use to fight against the immortals? How could he contend against those powerful immortals? He understood that as the leader of a force, he had to have enough strength to intimidate his subordinates. He also had to be able to make his subordinates feel at ease and continue to follow him wholeheartedly. For this, Su-Yun had been frantically absorbing immortal coins to increase his immortal power. But even if it was immortal coins in the spirit profound immortal realm, it would not be of much use to immortals. It was only at the third stage of the spirit profound immortal realm. If he wanted to increase his cultivation significantly, he would need a huge amount of immortal coins to support it. The breakthrough of the limitless sword art had also reached a bottleneck. Ling Xingyu had once said that the fierce swords in the limitless sword sheath relied on the millions of divine swords to suppress them. If he took too many, it would be difficult to suppress the power of the fierce swords. So during this period of time, Su-Yun did not enter the sword sheath to capture the divine swords. At this level, one could only rely on their own comprehension to break through, but with all sorts of matters, it was difficult for Su-Yun to have the time to comprehend them. Right now, the situation was getting more and more serious, and if his strength did not have a large breakthrough, it would not be as easy as it was in the past. Who? Inside the training grounds, Su-Yun slowly opened his eyes. He heaved a sigh of relief and looked towards a door. A series of light footsteps slowly spread out, seeming to be a little hesitant. If it was this kind of footstep, it would normally only belong to Zijin. "Come in, Zijin. What's the matter? Let's talk inside," Suyin said indifferently. As expected, there was a slight sound of shock from outside. Then, the hesitant footsteps became a little shaky as they slowly walked into the house. The door was pushed open. Zijin looked at Su-yun in fear, then gathered her courage, walked forward and bowed. "My lord, what's the matter?" Su-yun said indifferently. That, my lord, I have found out that Thousand Beyond Heavens and Jingyu Imperial Palace seem to be plotting something recently. Lin Yujing has been heading in the direction of Thousand Beyond Heavens recently, but every time he gets halfway there, he disappears. Although there is no trace of him, I believe that he should be in contact with Thousand Beyond Heavens. Zijin said carefully. Thousand Heavens Beyond? Su-yun frowned. The reason why Lin Yujing established the Immortal Sect Alliance was because he alone was not enough to deal with the Peerless Sect, and there was also the Immortal Court. So he wanted to use his advantage in numbers to create an opportunity to snatch Such'er. But now that the Immortal Sect Alliance had fallen apart, Lin Yujing also held a suspicious attitude towards these immortal sects, so it was impossible for him to form an alliance to seize the Divine Body. So Lin Yujing could indeed choose the Thousand Beyond Heavens. If it was the Thousand Beyond Heavens, then the situation would not be good. Jingyu Imperial Palace was already strong enough, but compared to the Thousand Beyond Heavens, it was like a sparrow to an eagle. The Peerless Sect was already struggling to deal with a single Jingyu Imperial Palace. If they brought the Thousand Beyond Heavens, then even if Ao Wushuang called for the help of the other immortal sects, it would still be difficult to contend against them. This was a problem. Su-yun scratched his chin and became serious. What's the situation at the Immortal Court? This subordinate does not know. This subordinate has been following Lin Yujing's line for the past few days. I do not know much about the situation at the Immortal Court. I should go ask Luo. Su-yun took a deep breath and said indifferently, Does Luo know about this? When this subordinate returned to the sect, I met Miss Su. She knows. Let her come and see me. Yes. Zijin nodded, then turned and left. Once Zijin left, Su-yun's face darkened. The exhaustion in his eyes was obvious. He sighed. His heart was filled with helplessness. Troublesome things come one after another. You just dealt with the Jingyu Imperial Palace, and now there's the Immortal Court. You just dealt with the Immortal Court, and now there's the Thousand Beyond Heavens. Su-yun, don't you feel tired? At this moment, a beam of light flew out from the sword's sheath behind him. A beautiful woman stood beside him and gently opened her cherry lips as she spoke. Su-yun shook his head and said indifferently, There's nothing I can do about it. I'm tired now. If I lose Qing, I will only feel more pain and more tired. Is Qing that important to you? Yes. Su-yun raised his head, looked at Ling Qingyu, and said seriously, From the beginning, she has been by my side. If not for Qing, where would I, Su-yun, be? She is my family and also my lover. No matter what, I cannot lose her. Hearing that, Ling Qingyu was startled. She opened her mouth, and for some reason, a sentence came out from her lips. What about me? You? Su-yun was also startled and looked at Ling Qingyu in shock. It was probably because she was not used to it. Why would Ling Qingyu say such a thing? Ling Qingyu then realized that she had said something wrong and was about to say something. When she saw Su-yun's burning eyes, she immediately lowered her head, and a layer of red climbed onto her fair cheeks. Ling Qingyu's attitude caused Su-yun to be completely infatuated. After a long while, he said softly, You are also very important. He said it very softly, very gently, but Ling Qingyu could hear the sincerity in it. She gently bit her cherry lips without saying a word. She stomped her feet, and with an unknown emotion, she turned into a ray of light and returned to the sword sheath, ignoring Su-yun. Qingyu! Su-yun immediately shouted a few times, but did not receive a response. Just then, footsteps came from outside the door, and Su Liuloa's voice came in. Big brother. Su Yun coughed. He kept his composure and called out, "Come in." "Yes." Su Luluo slowly walked in. She looked at Su Yun, her bright eyes quietly sizing up the other places in the house, as though she was looking for something, but she did not see anyone else. So she took a light breath and said, "Big brother, I wonder why you called Luluo here. Is there any movement from the Immortal Court?" Recently, the Immortal Court has not made any big moves, but the investigations in various aspects have not stopped. It's just that the intensity is not as great as before. Not as big as before. Then what is the Immortal Court doing? Integrate the interior. Internal? That's right. The last time we attacked the true Devil Realm, Xiaoyu maintained a state of nonchalance towards the battles between the various sects, and ignored them. As for the people from the various sects, the more they fought, the fiercer they became, and in the end, it became uncontrollable to the point of no return. The reputation of the Immortal Court was damaged, adding to the fact that the Immortal Court was not able to handle some matters in the Immortal World in time. This caused many sects in the Immortal World to question the Immortal Court. The position of the Immortal Court has been shaken for many years, causing the Immortal Court itself to feel fear. If it is not handled properly, the consequences will be severe. Then what do you think the current actions of the Immortal Court mean? The Immortal Court is accumulating power, Su Luluo said in a low voice. Accumulating power? Yes, accumulating power. Su Luluo nodded his head. After this reorganization, the Immortal Court will use even stronger and tougher methods to deal with their enemies. I believe that after this time, it will be much more difficult for Big Brother to take any action. Is that so? Su Yun was silent. Luluo suggests that Big Brother should not take action for the time being. Previously, when I entered the door, I heard Zijin's report that Lin Yujing seemed to have cooperated with the Thousand Beyond Heaven. If that's the case, then their goal is most likely the Divine Body. Although the owner of the Divine Body, Qing'er, has a close relationship with Big Brother and is also the target of Big Brother's protection, but Luluo suggests that this time, Big Brother does not need to care about Qing'er anymore, and just let Lin Yujing and the Thousand Beyond Heaven take action. Su Yun frowned. You want the Immortal Court to deal with these two powers? Lin Yujing is too anxious. Actually, the current him is still in the eyes of the Immortal Court. Choosing to go in a closed-door cultivation at this time is the most suitable, but he did not. The current him is still impatient to continue moving. This is not a good thing. Su Luluo said softly, Big Brother should focus on increasing his strength and developing the sect. For the time being, do not do anything else. The more peaceful it seems, the more you cannot be the one to stir up trouble, or else you will become the target of public criticism. I understand. During this period of time, I will stay in the sect for the time being. Stay in the sect. Su Luluo shook his head and said, Big Brother, do you want to rely on yourself to cultivate? This kind of improvement is too slow. If you want to make greater progress, you will need to go through some special methods. Special way? Su Yun's face was filled with confusion. What do you mean? But Su Luluo smiled mysteriously. I just received news from the Immortal Court. It is said that in 15 days, the Immortal Pond in the Immortal World will reappear. Chapter 1099. Immortal Pond of the Immortal World? Su Yun was startled. What is that? Su Luluo smiled slightly and said gently, That is the miracle of the Immortal World. It can be said to be a place that countless immortals yearn for. The miracle of the Immortal World? The more Su Yun heard, the more confused he became, but he did not interrupt Su Luluo and allowed him to continue. It is said that every 30,000 years in the Immortal World, a spirit spring will appear at the edge of the Immortal Cliff. Any immortal who passes through this spirit spring will be able to enter a mysterious immortal pond, and the water in the immortal pond has a miraculous effect on immortals. If one can soak in the water and cultivate, their speed will reach an unprecedented level. However, the immortal pond is only so big, and the water in the pond is only so small, so it can only accommodate 5 immortals at a time, and no more. So every time, the people of the Immortal World will fight for the right to use the Immortal Pond. No matter how low their cultivation is, once they walk out, they will become a great immortal, or their cultivation will soar, or they will comprehend an incredible immortal technique, and all of them will become outstanding. But the location of the immortal pond is always erratic, and no one knows where it is. If brother can find the immortal pond and enter it before it closes, then your cultivation will definitely soar, and your strength will also reach an unprecedented height. And at that time, it will be easy for you to fight against a great immortal like Lin Yujing. Especially the guardian beast outside the immortal pond. The scarlet flame holy eagle will appear together with the immortal pond. Its goal is to test anyone who enters the immortal pond. Its cultivation is not considered strong, but its strength and methods are shocking. If you can defeat the scarlet flame holy eagle, not only will you be able to obtain the flame crystal bestowed by the scarlet flame holy eagle, your immortal chi will double, and you will also be able to obtain its recognition. If you enter the immortal pond and are suppressed by others, the scarlet flame holy eagle will help you fight against the immortals who are suppressing you. So if brother's methods are good, it will be even better if you could defeat the scarlet flame holy eagle, although there are only 5 people in the immortal pond, but it is still full of danger. Ever since the immortal court took over, they have been in charge of the opening of the immortal pond, because after it is opened, the people of the immortal realm will search everywhere for traces of the immortal pond, and it can be said that even the countless hidden great immortals in the immortal realm will appear. In order to not cause too many casualties and losses, the immortal court will be in charge of selecting the candidates to enter the immortal pond every time. Of course, the immortal court will occupy 2 spots, and the other 3 will be chosen by the immortal court and some other great immortal sects. Usually, small sects do not have the qualifications to obtain them. But if you enter before the immortal court finds the immortal pond, you will be able to obtain good fortune and good fortune. Su Luluo said softly. Hearing that, Su Yun's eyes lit up. If that was the case, it would be a good thing. Immediately inform Xiang Yang, Wei Ming, Qin Qianlong, Xing Bai, and Kai Tian. Tell them to quickly arrange for people to search for the whereabouts of the immortal pond. Su Yun immediately said, Big brother, there is no need to panic. All the masters already know about this matter. They were the ones who asked Luluo to come here to inform Big Brother. They have already sent more than half of their men to search everywhere. But I believe that at this time, the entire immortal world is also searching everywhere. Luluo has already asked Zijin to play spies in some of the immortal sects while we search. We will also gather information from the other immortal sects, although we cannot guarantee that we will be able to find out the location of the immortal pond immediately, but at least we will be able to find out its specific location as soon as possible. Su Luluo said. Hearing that, Su Yun heaved a sigh of relief. Luluo, I am quite at ease with how you do things. Hearing that, a look of joy flashed past the depths of Su Luluo's eyes, but it quickly disappeared. She smiled and said, Big brother, if we are able to proceed smoothly with this operation, then you must remember, after entering the immortal pond, you must concentrate on cultivating. You cannot have the slightest bit of distracting thoughts. You do not need to worry about the matters of the true devil realm and the immortal seeking sect. Luluo will take care of this. Su Luluo spoke very seriously, but when he talked about her, he revealed a relaxed look, as though he did not take his own matters seriously at all. Su Yun naturally saw all of this. Strictly speaking, the current Su Luluo's cultivation was very low among the immortals, but she still chose to stay by Su Yun's side and work for him. Even when they sneak attacked the Alliance Immortal Sect, she also went with them, risking her life and death. How could Su Yun not feel this friendship? Perhaps even some real siblings wouldn't be like this, right? However, Su Yun did not think that this was Su Luluo's sibling relationship with him. He felt that it was more of Su Luluo's gratitude towards him. Luluo, if you're just repaying your debt of gratitude, is actually enough. Su Yun thought for a moment, then said slowly. Hearing that, Su Luluo's small face froze. Her expression became downcast. Her cherry lips opened slightly. Big brother, do you still think that Luluo is only repaying your debt of gratitude to you? I really can't think of any other reason. But my feelings for my brother are definitely not just to repay a debt of gratitude. Su Luluo suddenly raised his head, a pair of limpid eyes looking at Su Yun. He could not help but take a few steps forward, as though he wanted to dig out his own heart for Su Yun to see. Su Yun saw that it was strange. Su Luluo's reaction was too extraordinary. If it was not to repay a debt of gratitude, then what else could it be for? Suddenly, Su Yun thought about the exquisite kai that he had used to treat Su Luluo. Su Luluo was intelligent and quick-witted. Even immortals were not her match in terms of scheming, and part of the reason was because of the exquisite kai. Could it be that it was because he had used the exquisite kai on him back then, that he was like this? Su Yun raised his head and looked at Su Luluo again, only to see that the girl's eyes were burning with passion as she looked at him. She was extremely close to him. Her white cheeks were extremely tender and smooth, and her fragrant breath seemed to be hitting Su Yun's face. Her eyes were a little absent-minded, looking at the person in front of her with a burning gaze, her small mouth slightly opened, as though she wanted to say something, but also as though she wanted to express something. Su Yun was stunned, looking at Su Luluo's small face that was gradually turning from white to pink, feeling her breathing that was becoming more and more hurried. For some reason, Su Yun started to become nervous. Su Luluo's expression. Could it be that she had fallen in love with him? Su Yun's mind was in a daze. He was completely unable to react. Big brother. Suddenly, Su Luluo called out softly, her eyes gradually becoming blurry. Her small hands directly placed on Su Yun's chest. She was exceptionally bold. Although they were separated by the imperial battle robe, Su Yun could still feel the trembling, small hands. Luluo. Just as Su Yun wanted to say something, Su Luluo's small feet tapped lightly on the ground. She raised her head, and her cherry lips actually directly stuck on Su Yun's thick lips. A fragrant and soft feeling immediately surged up. Su Yun was stunned, his eyes opened wide. He did not dare believe what he was feeling. He stared at Su Luluo with his bull eyes, only to see her cheeks flushed red, her breathing hurried, her eyes completely intoxicated, and for some reason, she seemed to be completely attracted to Su Yun. The small hands that were on Su Yun's chest also trembled as she hugged Su Yun, wishing that her entire petite body could drill into his chest. After being provoked by Su Luluo, the fire in Su Yun's body also became restless. Su Luluo's body was extremely soft, like a ball of cotton. It was extremely comfortable to hold in his embrace. Although he was trembling with desire, he did not dare act recklessly. His feelings for Su Luluo were not deep. If he really needed women, he did not lack women by his side, so there was no need to harm Su Luluo. He tried his best to take a deep breath and move his lips away from Su Luluo's sweet little mouth. His big hand also grabbed Su Luluo's small hand, and his expression became serious. Luluo, Su Yun called out softly. Big brother. Su Luluo gasped for breath, his voice soft. Luluo, wake up. Su Yun did not know what to say. He could only gently push her away and say. Su Luluo's body trembled slightly. Her blurry eyes recovered a little. The two of them looked at each other, and after being stunned for a moment, they turned their heads in unison. Su Yun's old face was still all right, but Su Luluo's face was flushed red. He lowered his head and did not dare to look at Su Yun anymore. The atmosphere in the training ground was extremely bad. The two of them did not make a sound. It was extremely quiet, and, after an unknown period of time, Su Yun finally opened his mouth. Luluo, this, big brother, Su Luluo's small hands were clasped together. She wanted to say something, but was unable to say anything for a long time. Su Yun looked at her in a daze, as though he was waiting for her to speak. But after holding it in for a long time, Su Luluo suddenly turned and walked towards the door. I'll be leaving first. When Su Luluo ran out of the door as if she was jogging, her trembling voice floated out. Su Yun was startled and only regained his senses after a long while, but Su Luluo had already left. He touched his lips and laughed bitterly. Although he had encountered this kind of thing before, the situation was not as special as it was now. Humph! Just then, a cold snort came out from the sword sheath. Su Yun's entire body was shocked. cold sweat dripping down his back. Only then did he remember that Ling Qing Yu was still in the sword sheath. Hearing this, could it be that she had seen everything that had happened before? Qing Yu, I didn't want to provoke Su Luluo. I don't care who you want to provoke. Ling Qing Yu's cold voice came out. The Shinner sword sheath was like a windless lake. There were no longer any ripples. No matter how Su Yun shouted, Ling Qing Yu's voice did not come out again. Seeing that, Su Yun sighed. He felt extremely helpless. He did not know how to deal with this kind of thing. Since things had come to this, it was better to keep quiet. He immediately sat down cross-legged and meditated. What he should do now was to wait quietly, waiting for the news from the Immortal Pond. Although the possibility of entering the Immortal Pond was extremely small, but once every 30,000 years, it was something that could not be sought after. No matter what, Su Yun had to give it a try. Chapter 1100. In the past few days, Su Yun had been cultivating in the Immortal Seeking sect, and at the same time, he was waiting for news from Su Liuluo's side. Ever since Su Liuluo's bold move, for an entire 3 days, no one came to see Su Yun. It was only on the 4th day that Su Luluo finally came, but this time he brought news of the Immortal Pond. The specific information about the Immortal Pond had not been confirmed, but Su Luluo was already prepared. She had drawn a rough map of the Immortal World in advance. The size of the Immortal World was hard to imagine, and the map that Su Luluo drew had taken her nearly 2 months, and it was not considered complete. Many immortals had drawn up maps of the Immortal World, but the Immortal World was huge, and until now, no one had a complete map of the Immortal World. Some people said that the Immortal Court had sent experts to search everywhere, and had already completed a complete map of the Immortal World, but that was just a rumor, and the Immortal Court did not explain this matter, so everyone followed suit. However, since the Immortal Court was the representative of the laws of the Immortal Court, they believed that they would also be interested in the map of the Immortal World. If they wanted to find the Immortal Pool, it would be much more convenient for them. This map of the Immortal World was customized according to the information from the Immortal Court, and now, many Immortal Sect have already made their move. Regardless of whether they are big or small, they all want to enter the Immortal Pool, obtain the heavenly grace, and enjoy the blessings and wisdom. Big Brother, although we have already started moving in terms of strength and methods, we are far inferior to the Immortal Court, and there are also a few Immortal Sects that have experience in searching. The techniques of the Immortal World are strange and dazzling, and some of their methods are things that we have never heard of before. Right now, many people from the Immortal Sects have their eyes on the Immortal Court. Everyone is waiting for news from the Immortal Court, and Luluo has also asked the people from the Immortal Court to keep an eye on them. I believe that the news from them will be very helpful to us. In the cultivation ground, Su Luluo lowered his head and said with a flushed face. Su Yun coughed. He did not dare look straight at Su Luluo, but he still pretended to be calm and said shamelessly, "Luluo, it's been hard on you. I will get Xiang Yang to send some people to keep an eye on the Immortal Court later. Time is already very tight. I believe that the Immortal Court's methods are almost used up. The envoys of the Immortal Court all have their own abilities. Although Kong Ling and Yuan Tinya have died, their abilities are not the only ones in the Immortal Court. I am worried that the Immortal Court will use a messenger like Yuan Tinya to divine the location of the Immortal Pond." Su Luluo said. Hearing that, Su Yun frowned. If that was the case, the Immortal Court was indeed a step ahead of the others. It's not just the Immortal Court. I believe those top sects also have similar means. Even if we have a few immortal sects, it won't be enough to search every corner of the immortal world. Compared to the vast immortal world, these people are like a group of ants compared to a continent. It's easy to imagine how difficult it is for ants to find treasures on a continent. Luluo, do you have any suggestions? I don't think Brother can continue to sit around like this. We have to move and go to the Immortal Court immediately. Just then, Su Luluo suddenly said seriously, "To the Immortal Court?" Su Yun was shocked. He did not dare believe his own ears. He stared blankly at Su Luluo, hesitated for a moment, then asked, "Luluo, the blood flowing in my body is the blood of the devil cultivator. If not for the concealment of the sacred domain battle robe, I am afraid that the devil chi in my body would not be able to be concealed if you want me to go to the immortal court. Wouldn't that be like a sheep entering a tiger's den? It is indeed possible for the high-level immortal court people to see through brother's disguise, but it is impossible for the low-level immortal court people to see through brother's disguise. Furthermore, the high-level immortal court people's mouths are tight, and we can't dig anything out of them, but the low-level people are different. Su Luluo said softly, "Big brother, don't forget, you have a trump card that many immortals are afraid of." Trump card? Su Yun frowned. "You mean the great exquisite technique?" "Yes." Su Luluo nodded. Su Yun was silent. After a while, "I'll leave now." Su Luluo nodded his head and said, "I will immediately inform Wei Ming to accompany me." "No need." Su Yun raised his hand and said indifferently. Su Luluo was startled, but quickly understood the meaning behind Su Yun's words. She slightly nodded her head. "All right, Luluo understands. I will immediately get Xiang Yang to prepare some useful immortal treasures for brother. Bring them along in case of emergencies." "Yes." "Then Luluo will take his leave first." Su Luluo bowed and was about to turn around, but just as she turned, she seemed to have thought of something and immediately bowed towards Su Yun again and said, "Big brother, Luluo forgot one thing." "What is it?" "It's about Qing." Su Luluo said softly, "If brother discovers the immortal pond first, then brother can bring Qinger along and enter the immortal pond." "Enter the immortal pond?" "Luluo, you mean?" "Qinger has a divine spirit body, which means that she is the reincarnation of a supreme expert. If she can quickly recover to the state she was in before her reincarnation, then all the threats to her will no longer exist. Big brother, if you can bring her into the immortal pond, her cultivation will definitely soar, and with the advantage of a divine spirit body, I believe that before long, all the problems will disappear." Hearing that, Su Yun felt that it was reasonable and nodded his head. "That's right, Luluo. You are right. I will pay attention. Once the location of the immortal pond is confirmed, I will go look for Qing. Then, big brother, I will take my leave first." Su Luluo slowly retreated towards the door. "Luluo!" Su Yun suddenly called out to her. Su Luluo raised his head and looked at him. However, after a long while, Su Yun only managed to utter two words. "Thank you." Su Luluo was startled, her small mouth slightly raised. She did not say anything else, and immediately left the house. The rest was up to Su Luluo to make the arrangements. Su Yun waited for a long time, and after Su Luluo had settled everything, Su Yun headed towards the immortal court alone. Su Luluo had already arranged for the immortal court spies to be in charge of receiving Su Yun. This immortal pond was extremely important. If he could obtain it, it would be a great fortune. If he could not, it would be a pity. Furthermore, Su Liluo's last words made Su Yun extremely excited. If he could find the immortal pond first and bring Su Qinger into it, then the matter with Qinger would definitely be resolved. As long as Qinger recovered her strength before her reincarnation, her divine spirit body would also take shape, and not to mention that she would already possess an undefeatable power. Even the various immortals would not pay attention to her because of her divine spirit body. Thinking about it, Su Yun was even more determined to find the immortal pond. The immortal seeking sect was still quite a distance away from the immortal court, and it would take at least 4 days to get there. In the period of time that Su Yun was away, the matters between the various great immortal sects were all led by Su Luluo and the Round Demon. Su Yun did not understand Su Liluo's thoughts. Sometimes, he really wanted to peek into Su Liluo's current thoughts, and wanted to use the great exquisite technique to see what she was thinking. Ever since he obtained the great exquisite technique, Su Yun had always had this urge, but after struggling with his brain for a long time, he still resisted the urge. He did not believe that Su Luluo would have any other unfavorable factors for him, nor did he believe that Su Luluo, who had been saved by the exquisite Kai, would have any other plans because that look in his eyes could not be faked. Regardless of whether Su Luluo loved or was grateful to him, it was not important. What was important was that Su Yun could not let go of the faintly discernible sibling relationship in his heart. Su Yun advanced at full speed and finally arrived at the immortal court on the evening of the third day. At this moment, the sky that should have been blue seemed to be a little dark, but outside the immortal court, it was extremely lively. From all directions, there were many immortals rushing towards the immortal court, some from the immortal court, some from the various sects, all of them rushing towards the immortal court. But no matter who it was, when they approached the gate of the immortal court, they would stop and respectfully bow towards the majestic building before entering the gate. Because of the matter with the immortal pond, the immortal court had to receive a lot of immortals every day. Su Yun paced back and forth outside the door for a while, then entered. With the protection of the imperial battle robe, even though he was covered in devil chi, no one could sense him at all. He walked towards the gate and bowed to the gate like the other immortals, then turned around and walked inside. "Please show me your identity card." As he approached the door, the people from the immortal court immediately stopped Su Yun and said, "Identity card? Items that can prove your identity include tokens, keepsakes, and so on." "Oh, I'm a disciple of the immortal-seeking sect." Hearing that, Su Yun immediately took out an order badge from his waist and handed it over to the man. The man took the order badge and looked at it a few times, only to see two strange rays of light shooting out from his eyes, directly hitting the order badge, and after a while, he handed the order badge back to Su Yun. "Who are you looking for? I'm a good friend of yours for many years. Today, I specially came over to have a chat." Su Yun said, "The spirit-seeking envoy is on the first floor. You can go find him yourself." "Thank you." Su Yun cupped his fists in greeting and immediately headed inside. The disciple did not mind. There were too many people who found all sorts of excuses to enter the immortal court, saying that they had something to do, but their goal was actually to obtain news about the immortal pond. Su Yun lowered his head and walked forward. After taking a few steps, he saw a group of people in front of him talking to an envoy of the immortal court. Most of the people who passed by bowed to the envoy of the immortal court. Su Yun looked at the group of immortals and was immediately startled. Weren't they from the Peerless sect? Could it be that Ao Wushuang was also interested in the immortal pond? Su Yun secretly sized up these people. After thinking for a moment, he quickened his pace and walked inside. This so-called spirit-seeking envoy was said to be a spy planted by Su Luluo. When Su Yun heard these three words, he was also startled. Spirit-seeking envoy? Could it be an envoy? Su Luluo actually had good methods to actually let an envoy of the immortal court be his spy. However, was this envoy really reliable? An envoy of the immortal court. Would he listen to Su Luluo's words? Su Yun did not believe it. Carrying this apprehensive heart, he walked step by step towards the first level of the immortal court. The first level was the lowest level of the immortal court. Even if the immortals here were envoys, they were still low-level envoys. But as long as they were envoys, they would more or less have some status in the immortal court. Su Yun took a deep breath, looked at the tightly shut door of the third region, and directly walked over. Who? Disciple of the immortal-seeking sect, Su Yun. Su Yun said carefully. Unexpectedly, not long after he said that, the door opened, and a familiar figure directly jumped into his line of sight. When Su Yun saw this person, he was immediately dumbstruck. Xiao Chua? Chapter 1101. The woman in front of him was wearing a grayish-brown robe. This robe was extremely inappropriate for her, and it seemed a little too big. However, when others looked at this woman, their attention was naturally focused on her handsome little face. Imperfections couldn't cover up a beauty, so they wouldn't care about the imperfections in this robe. Su Yun was shocked, but Xiao Chua was not surprised. Obviously, she knew that the one who came to find her would be Su Yun. So Liolua's contact person in the immortal court is you? Su Yun looked at Xiao Chua, his eyes wide open. Xiao Chua looked outside the door a few times, then said in a low voice, "This is not a place to talk. Come in and talk." Su Yun nodded and walked in. Xiao Chua carefully looked around, then gently closed the door, placed a few seals on it, then turned and walked inside. This was a room with simple facilities. There was a glowing array drawn on the ground, and there were a few cabinets made of jade next to it. There were scrolls and bottles on the cabinets, but most of them were pieces of white paper stacked on top of each other. Each piece of paper glowed like the stars, looking very beautiful. Su Yun sized up the room and muttered, "Spirit Seeker? What is this for?" "I'm in charge of detecting spirit veins for the Immortal Court," Xiao Chui said indifferently. "It belongs to the Resource Department of the Immortal Court, and the spirit veins contain a large number of spirit energy crystals. The Immortal Court uses these spirit energy crystals to operate their tens of thousands of formations." "Is that so?" Su Yun's eyes swept across the cabinets and said indifferently, "Are there a lot of these Spirit Seeker?" "I think there are more than 1,000 of them." "Why do you want to join the Immortal Court?" "Naturally, it's to pursue the Tao of ultimate martial arts. The platform of the Immortal Court is bigger than anything I've ever seen before. Of course, part of the reason is that I want to help you, to repay you for saving me in the Great Linglong Palace," Xiao Chua said. Hearing that, Su Yun was relieved. A martial fanatic like Xiao Chua, compared to Bai Yinshan back then, had a much stronger pursuit of the martial way. Su Yun was not surprised that she would join the Immortal Court. The only thing that surprised him was that she was actually able to join the Immortal Court. "What are the requirements of the Immortal Court for the Spirit Seeker? Can you just pick anyone?" "Of course not. If you don't have outstanding abilities, you'll need some connections. I know a little about the art of tracking. Coincidentally, when the Immortal Court was recruiting, I had the thought of entering the Immortal Court to cultivate. When Uncle Hu Qing learned about this, he recommended me to a certain lord in the Immortal Court. He has some connections in the Immortal Court, so I was able to enter smoothly." "I see. Luluo has already told me that the Immortal Court is also extremely concerned about the reappearance of the Immortal Pawn this time. In the Immortal Court, there are some experts that were actually nurtured through the Immortal Pond. The Immortal World is huge, and the number of immortals is unknown, but it is actually extremely difficult to nurture or even recruit an expert. However, the Immortal Pond that appears once every 30,000 years can bring about a considerable amount of power for the Immortal Court, and the Immortal Court has long since prepared the best candidates, who are talented and loyal to the Immortal Court. Even though their cultivation is not high, as long as they enter the Immortal Pond, they will be able to become a great immortal in a very short period of time and wholeheartedly serve the Immortal Court. The reason why the Immortal Court is able to represent the laws of the Immortal Court is because they are powerful, and their strength did not come out of thin air. It was also obtained through many years of accumulation and effort," Su Yun said indifferently. Actually, he did not have much disgust towards the Immortal Court. Although some of the people in the Immortal Court were indeed shameless, the Immortal Court had been carrying out their duties all these years. If not for the Immortal Court, the Immortal World would not be as peaceful as it was now, and the reason why they had always been going against the Immortal Court was only because they had different standpoints. In the past, my understanding of the Immortal Court was limited to word of mouth. When I really entered the Immortal Court, I realized that my understanding of the Immortal Court was too little, and the power of the Immortal Court was not as simple as it was said to be. Xiao Chua said, "Tell me about your current understanding of the Immortal Court." "Although I've been in the Immortal Court for a period of time, my understanding of it is only the tip of the iceberg. The management system of the Immortal Court is very strict. From the top to the bottom, everyone has to obey the orders of their superiors. The hierarchy system of the Immortal Court is also very cruel. Even if the other party's strength is lower than yours, you have to obey as long as their official position is higher than yours. Otherwise, you will be severely punished by the laws of the Immortal Court. There are a total of 5 ranks in the Immortal Court, from the 1st rank to the 5th rank. The 5th rank is the lowest, the 1st rank is the highest, and the 5th rank is the highest. After the 5th rank are the people without official ranks, such as myself. Most of the 5th rank officials are subordinate to the 4th rank officials. Most of the 4th rank officials are the managers of the various departments, such as Sha Yu of the Ministry of Justice, Zunli of the Ministry of Control, and Chen Xinxing of the Ministry of Resources. Su Yin listened attentively and did not interrupt. Xiao Chua paused for a moment, then continued. There are rules for the promotion of the Immortal Court's official ranks. Every 600 years, the envoys of each rank will undergo an examination. Once their experience and strength reach the standard and they have a certain amount of contribution, they will be able to rise. However, this is only for the people of the 5th rank and the non-ranked Immortal Court. As for those of the 4th rank and above, they can just rely on their connections to get past them. Then who is in charge of the Immortal Pawn this time? It is said that it is a master of the 3rd rank. All the departments of the 4th rank have to cooperate with him. Xiaochua said with a serious face. A master of the 3rd rank? Su Yin frowned. What cultivation do you think he is? That is hard to say. Xiaochua shook his head. The Immortal Court does not treat the envoys according to their cultivation. They first look at their abilities and then look at their cultivation. So, the strength of this master of the 3rd rank cannot be estimated. But no matter what, his methods are unimaginable. How far has the Immortal Court gone in their search for the Immortal Pawn? I've already told the Luo everything I know. The method used by the Immortal Court is very simple and effective. In fact, there are many sects in the immortal world that are monitored by the Immortal Court. These people are responsible for collecting the search results of the various sects for the Immortal Pond. And if there are no traces of the Immortal Pond, they will eliminate this place and search other places. The immortal world is huge, and the Immortal Pond can appear anywhere. Although the Immortal Court is strong, to search for such a mystical place in the immortal world, they do not have enough manpower and cannot carry out a carpet search. I understand. Su Yin took a deep breath and said indifferently, Then, how many regions has the Immortal Court investigated? Have you confirmed where the Immortal Pawn might appear? I don't know about that. I am just a lowly envoy of the Immortal Court. I know very little and can't provide you with much information. Since Luluo let you come to the Immortal Court, I believe he hopes that you can search for clues here yourself. The only thing I can do is to provide you with an excuse to stay in the Immortal Court. Yes. Su Yin nodded his head. Thank you, Xiaochua. No matter what, if not for you, I might not be standing here. Since you saved me, how can I not help you? Even though I, Xiaochua, am a woman, I am still a person who values kindness. Furthermore, I am willing to join such a powerful organization like the Immortal Court. Here, I can learn a lot of things. Who exactly is the court lord of the Immortal Court? Just then, Su Yin suddenly asked a question. When this question was asked, Xiaochua was obviously startled, but very quickly, she shook her head and said, I do not know who the court lord is. I am afraid that it is not only me who does not know. Many people do not know either. Have many people never seen the court lord before? Yes. It is impossible for a stage 5 envoy to see the court lord. As for the 4th step, I don't know either, but it is said that. Knock, knock, knock. Just as Xiaochua was about to say something, a light knock on the door suddenly came out. Xiaochua and Su Yin were startled. Su Yin stared at Xiaochua, who frowned slightly. He did not say anything, but stood up and slowly walked towards the door. Chur, are you inside? Chur. Just then, a light shout came from outside. Xiaochua was startled, and then secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Who is it? A good friend of mine in the Immortal Court. Don't worry, she should be fine, Xiaochua said. Su Yin nodded his head. Xiaochua walked towards the door, removed the seal, and opened it. As soon as the door opened, a cute girl with snow-white skin and an elf-like appearance ran in. The moment the girl entered the house, she anxiously closed the door. From the looks of it, she seemed to be extremely anxious. However, when she calmed down, she realized that other than Xiaochua, there was another man in a black cloak with pale skin. The girl was startled, then looked at Xiaochua, suddenly blinked her eyes, and revealed a strange smile. Ugh, what are you thinking? Xiaochua's face flushed red, her eyebrows furrowed. No wonder Chua closed the door. So you're secretly meeting your lover here. The girl kept blinking at Xiaochua, as if she had seen through everything. Xiaochua secretly snorted and said seriously, Xiao, don't mess around. This is my friend. We are not in that kind of relationship. I know. The girl giggled, looking like she did not believe her at all. Xiaochua sighed. She knew that it would be useless to explain at this time. So she walked over and introduced Su Yun. Su Yun, this is a friend I met in the immortal court, Hua Xiao Xiao, just like me. She's also a spirit seeker, Xiao Xiao. This is Su Yun, my friend, and also my savior from the immortal seeking sect. Hello, my name is Hua Xiao Xiao. The girl walked over confidently and said with a smile, Hello. Su Yun nodded and did not say anything. Xiao Xiao, you came over in such a hurry. Is there something you need from me? Xiao Chua asked. Sigh. Hua Xiao Xiao sighed, her face full of worry. It's that damned Gong Sun Lang. Gong Sun Lang? What? Is he harassing you again? That's right. That bastard Gong Sun Lang. I don't have any feelings for him, but he insisted on finding me to be his dual cultivation partner. That pervert. When I become stronger in the future, I will definitely teach him a lesson. Hua Xiao Xiao said hatefully. Powerful. Xiao Chua thought for a moment, then suddenly thought of something and asked, Xiao Xiao, I heard that Gong Sun Lang is one of the substitutes to enter the immortal pond. Is this true? Chapter 11:02. Yeah. Hua Xiao Xiao nodded her head and said, But he's just a substitute. It's nothing. Although Gong Sun Lang is a bad person, he still has some talent and was recommended to enter the immortal pool by the Lord of Resources. But all the lords have their own candidates, and there are many people who are more outstanding than him. Gong Sun Lang's talent is nothing. Although there are 5 people who officially enter the immortal pool, but there are a total of 500 substitutes, no matter what. It will not be his turn. But no matter what, to be able to obtain the recommendation of the Lord of Resources, it is enough to prove that the Lord of Resources values him very much. If you become his dual cultivation companion, at least in the future, your development in the immortal court will be much easier than now. Xiao Chua said. Hearing that, Hua Xiao Xiao waved her hands and said with a look of disgust, No way. I heard that this Gong Sun Lang had many dual cultivation companions in the past, but for some reason, all of them died, tragically for some reason. Some people said that Gong Sun Lang deliberately killed them. This guy is very fickle, and also feels weird. I won't ask him to be my dual cultivation companion. Sure, you don't understand him. That's why you said that when you understand him with your personality, you will definitely hate him more than me. Is that so? Xiao Chua laughed and did not continue. All right, let's not talk about that guy. Sure, let's talk about you. Hua Xiao Xiao nudged Xiao Chua with her elbow and smiled mysteriously. This friend of yours, did she come here to see you? I guess so. Stinking girl, you still won't admit it. Hua Xiao Xiao whispered. Xiao Chua did not know how to communicate with this girl. I've really sinned today. I shouldn't have come here to hide. Jean, please don't be angry at me. After that Gong Sun Lang leaves, I'll leave immediately. I won't disturb you guys. Hua Xiao Xiao hurriedly said. It's all right, Chua. You can stay here for as long as you want, Su Yun, and I won't mind. But I do mind, Hua Xiao Xiao said seriously. We are good sisters. I can't delay your happiness. Su Yun had been standing not too far away. Although he was a distance away from the 2 girls, Su Yun could still hear their conversation clearly, and could not help but laugh in his heart. He coughed, walked straight over, and bowed to Hua Xiao Xiao. Young lady, it's all thanks to you for taking care of me during my time in the immortal court. Su Yun thanks you here. Su Yun, hearing that, Xiao Chua immediately became anxious. She wanted to say something, but seeing that Su Yun was secretly winking at her, Xiao Chua stopped speaking. She could read the meaning in Su Yun's eyes, and immediately, the more she tried to explain, the worse it became. Since that was the case, she might as well admit it. Xiao Chua sighed and didn't say anything. You're too polite. I am sisters with San How can there be any need to take care of each other? It should be said that we're taking care of each other. Hua Xiao Xiao beamed with joy, obviously having a good impression of Su Yun. Hua, Miss Xiao Xiao, that Gong Sun Lang you mentioned just now. Who is he? Su Yun seemed to be interested in Gong Sun Lang and asked. Gong Sun Lang. Hearing those 3 words, Hua Xiao Xiao immediately frowned. He can be considered an envoy of the immortal court, but he is closer to the Lord of the 4th step. He came earlier than me, but he doesn't spend much time with us, the non-ranked envoys, so I don't know much about him. Why would the Lord of the 4th step favor him? Could it be that he has some kind of relationship with the Lord of the 4th step? I'm not sure. But there are rumors, but they can't be confirmed. But what I do know is that he should be promoted to a stage 5 envoy very soon. The purpose of all of you working in the Immortal Court is to be able to obtain the protection of the Immortal Court, to obtain the benefits of the Immortal Court, and to cultivate better. But in the end, the position of no rank is the lowest position in the Immortal Court. Even if there are any benefits in the Immortal Court when it reaches your level, I'm afraid there won't be much left. Why not befriend this Gongsun Lang and use his hands to climb up? Su Yin laughed. Unexpectedly, when he said that, Hua Xiaoxiao's face was immediately filled with anger, and the eyes that looked at Su Yin were also filled with anger. But she said coldly, "Chua, this time, I think you've seen the wrong person. This guy called Su Yin, I don't think he's much. For the sake of fame and fortune, you have to flatter the people above? Although I, Hua Xiaoxiao, am a woman, I will not be so spineless." Hua Xiaoxiao's words were filled with righteous indignation. She truly had the appearance of a woman who was not inferior to a man. This was similar to Xiao Chua. No wonder the two of them were sisters. Their personalities were similar. Their interests were similar. This was not strange. Miss Xiaoxiao, don't be too angry. This is reality. Reality is not as beautiful as you and I think. We all need to face the cruelty here, of course. Miss Xiaoxiao's noble character and unquestionable integrity. I admire it. There are not many people like Miss Xiaoxiao, but I'm also doing this for Miss Xiaoxiao. And sure, since Miss Xiaoxiao is not willing, how about this? Let me befriend that Gongsun Lang, and let him help you. Su Yun said. No. Hua Xiaoxiao shook her head. Isn't it the same? Miss Xiaoxiao is so righteous. I believe there is nothing to say about your character. If a person like you can stand at a higher position, it will be a great blessing for the immortal world, and also a blessing for the people of the immortal world. Miss Xiaoxiao, you cannot only think for yourself. I am willing to be the bad guy, but please don't decline. Su Yun is only a person from a third-rate sect. He does not have the fortune to enter the immortal court, but you are different. Since you have the ability to enter the immortal court, it means that you are stronger than me. Su Yun's ability is limited, but he can still do this, Miss Xiaoxiao. This time, even if not for your own sake, please do it for the sake of the people of the immortal world, Su Yun said with a serious face. These righteous words left Hua Xiaoxiao in a dilemma. She wanted to refute, but she did not know where to start. She looked at Xiao Chua, only to see that Xiao Chua did not say a word, only standing quietly at the side. She asked softly, Chua, Su Yun's words are not without reason, Xiao. Make your own decision. Xiao Chua said softly. Su Yun understood Xiao Chua. She knew of Su Yun's plan, but Hua Xiaoxiao was her friend. She would not lie to Hua Xiaoxiao for Su Yun, so she could only let Hua Xiaoxiao make her own decision. Hearing that, Hua Xiaoxiao's face revealed a difficult expression. She hesitated for a long time, then said, Su Yun, this is not good for you. If I can do something for the people of the immortal world, even if I have to bear a stain on my name, Su Yun will not hesitate. But, Miss Xiaoxiao, there's no need to worry. In fact, Su Yun also has some selfish motives. Entered the immortal court, but is only a rank less envoy. Su Yun is more or less uncomfortable. This Gongsun Lang is an opportunity. If Chua can be promoted to a rank 5 envoy with Gongsun Lang's help, Su Yun will be very happy. So, you are doing this for Chua? Hua Xiaoxiao stared at Su Yun and said with suspicion. Su Yun immediately nodded, without hesitation. She looked at Xiao Chua again, but Xiao Chua still did not make a sound. Hua Xiaoxiao thought for a long time, and finally sighed, and said, All right, since that's the case, then go and give it a try. Miss Xiaoxiao, just wait for my news. Don't be too happy. I have to tell you first, I won't help you. I don't want to see Gongsun Lang for even a moment. Leave Gongsun Lang to me. Since that's the case, then I'll have to trouble you. Hua Xiaoxiao did not know what to say, although she knew that Su Yun was doing it for her, and Xiao was good. But there was always a knot in her heart. After all, Su Yun was planning to use Gongsun Lang, and this made the good impression she had toward Su Yun fade by quite a bit. Xiao, although you do not plan to help Su Yun, if you do not introduce Gongsun Lang to Su Yun, I'm afraid that no matter how capable he is, he will not be able to talk to Gongsun Lang. So, you need to start this first. Just then, Xiao Chua, who had been silent all this while, finally spoke. Hearing that, Su Yun immediately looked at Xiao Chua with gratitude. Hearing that, Hua Xiao revealed a troubled expression. She hesitated for a long time, then said hesitantly, Chua, I know what you mean, but Gong Sun Lang, I can't even hide from him. How can I? Xiao, think about it carefully. If you were to advance to the 5th step, would he, Gong Sun Lang, still dare to harass you? Xiao Chua asked. The reason why he dares to endlessly harass you is because his power in the immortal court is greater than yours. If your power is greater than his, even if you lend him 100 guts, he would not dare to act recklessly towards you. So Xiao, if you want to solve this problem of yours, Su Yun's method is actually not bad. You should consider it carefully. Hua Xiao frowned. After thinking for a long time, she finally made a decision. She sighed and said helplessly, since that's the case, then all right, I'll introduce Su Yun to Gong Sun Lang. Miss Xiao's righteousness. Su Yun admires you to the extreme. There's no need to say such nice words. I, Hua Xiao, am very clear about what kind of person I am. But Su Yun, I can't see through you. Looks like Chua has found a different dual cultivation partner. Hua Xiao looked at Su Yun again, then said, let's go. Since that's the case, follow me out. Gong Sun Lang is looking for me everywhere. I believe that if we wander around outside, we will meet him. All right, let's go. Chapter 1103. In the passageway. Xiao, where did you go? You made me look for you. A man dressed in a lace-embroidered robe looked at Hua Xiao with a gentle expression and said softly, what are you looking for me for? Hua Xiao rolled her eyes at the man and said snappily, Xiao, a few days ago, Master gave me 2 soul cleansing pills. After consuming it, it can cleanse the soul and purify the body, and it is very beneficial to the cultivation of immortals. However, immortals can only consume 1 pill, and I have already consumed 1, so the extra pill is useless to me, so I thought of giving it to you. I heard that you broke through not long ago, and now you need to consolidate your cultivation. Quickly follow me to my cultivation place, and I will cooperate with you to digest this pill. The man, Gong Sun Lang, said with a smile, if you want to give me the pill, just give it to me. Why do you want me to go to your cultivation place? Wouldn't that be troublesome? Hua Xiao asked. This soul-cleansing pill needs to be consumed in a specific array in order to have an effect. Even if I give it to you, you don't know the method. Swallowing it would only be a waste. Gong Sun Lang said, that's not necessary, because it doesn't matter if you use the array or not. It would be a waste. I don't need this thing. Hua Xiao snorted. Gong Sun Lang was a little embarrassed. A trace of anger flashed past the depths of his eyes, but he endured it. The smile on his face did not diminish. He smiled slightly and said, Xiao, if this thing was in the hands of others, it would definitely be a waste, but in your hands, how can it be a waste? Furthermore, even if you really waste it, I won't feel that it's a pity, because it's in your hands. With that said, Su Yun was dumbstruck. He had seen shameless people, but he had never seen someone so shameless. Even he, Su Yun, had to retreat to the side with this shameless mouth of his. Xiao Chua didn't feel anything, but Hua Xiao couldn't stand it. She felt a chill run down her spine, and the way she looked at Gong Sun Lang became more and more disgusted. Although Gong Sun Lang's flowery words could win the hearts of some female immortals, Hua Xiao was not an ordinary female immortal. She seemed to be very resistant to such sweet words. Instead, she was a practical girl. Although Gong Sun Lang had some methods, he used them in the wrong place. If he treated her sincerely, perhaps Hua Xiao would not treat him like this. Hua Xiao seemed to have reached her limit. Just as she was about to open her mouth, Su Yun suddenly jumped up and said with a smile, Xiao, this is the young master's kind intentions. No matter what, we should at least go and take a look. If not, wouldn't we be letting down the young master's kind intentions? When Su Yun opened his mouth, Gong Sun Lang could not help but turn his gaze to Su Yun. He knew Xiao Chua, and it had to be said that Xiao Chua was also a beauty and was even more beautiful than Hua Xiao. However, Xiao Chua was too stubborn and was probably even harder to deal with than Hua Xiao. Helpless, Gong Sun Lang could only place his attention on Hua Xiao. Hearing Su Yun's way of addressing him, Gong Sun Lang knew that this guy had a close relationship with Hua Xiao. His eyes immediately revealed vigilance, and he asked, Xiao, this is him? He is. I'm just an ordinary friend of Xiao. Su Yun immediately interrupted Hua Xiao and said with a smile, Ordinary friend? Gong Sun Lang looked at Su Yun strangely. I haven't asked this young master yet. Su Yun cupped his fist towards Gong Sun Lang and said with a smile, I'm Gong Sun Lang. Gong Sun Lang said indifferently, but his gaze was carefully sizing up Su Yun's expression. Unexpectedly, when he said that, Su Yun immediately revealed a look of shock and then looked at Gong Sun Lang seriously and asked with a stunned expression, Gong Sun Lang? You? Could it be that you are the famous master Gong Sun Lang from the Ministry of Resources? You've heard of me? Gong Sun Lang did not understand, but Su Yun's words made him feel rather comfortable. I've heard of you. How can I not have heard of you? Everyone says that young Master Gong Sun is talented. Although you have not obtained the rank of a 5th rank official, you have already received the recognition of a 4th rank official. It is not difficult for you to rise to the top in the future. If I have not heard of such a noble person, then I can only say that I, Su Yun, am ignorant. Su Yun said with a smile. These words made Gong Sun Lang feel good. He glanced at Su Yun and asked, Looking at you, you don't look like someone from the Immortal Court. Who are you? I am Su Yun, from the Immortal Seeking Sect. Immortal Seeking Sect? Never heard of it. It's just a third-rate sect. So that's how it is. Hearing that it was a third-rate sect, Gong Sun Lang's eyes revealed a look of disdain. He could not be bothered with Su Yun anymore. His gaze once again turned to Hua Xiao and asked, Xiao, what do you think? Hua Xiao was about to reject him, but she saw that Su Yun was secretly giving her a look. After hesitating for a while, she finally sighed and said softly, All right then, I'll go take a look. Good, let's go. Gong Sun Lang was overjoyed and immediately said. Seeing that, Xiao Chua immediately followed. Gong Sun Lang frowned, but did not dare say anything and could only let the few of them go together. Gong Sun Lang's cultivation ground was not on this floor, but had been moved to the 2nd floor. This place was basically a place where the 5th level envoys could enter and exit, and people without a level were usually not allowed to enter. However, with Gong Sun Lang leading them, the 3 of them could be considered to have benefited from it, and when they entered, no one said anything. Along the way, Hua Xiao was obviously a little nervous. Xiao Chua had an indifferent expression, while Su Yun was like a curious baby, looking around, sometimes sizing up the immortals passing by, sometimes sizing up the surrounding buildings and pavilions, not stopping for even a moment. Seeing that, Xiao Chua secretly nudged him with his elbow, reminding him to pay attention to himself. After all, it was not a good behavior to look directly at others, not to mention that they were people without a level, and these people passing by were actually their superiors. It was already impolite to not greet their superiors, let alone this kind of behavior. However, Su Yun obviously did not care about the feelings of these people. Even though some of them had dissatisfaction on their faces, he still did not have the slightest bit of awareness. They were all experts at the peak of the 4th stage of the spirit profound immortal realm, and there were quite a few of them who were at the 5th stage. This kind of guy actually had the ability to lead an immortal sect, but in the immortal court he was just a small envoy of the 5th step. Su Yun secretly thought, his gaze once again landing on the rooms used by the envoys. Although most of the rooms were tightly shut, there were some rooms that coincidentally opened, and immortals walked out. Every time a room opened, Su Yun would immediately close his eyes and feel the qi that leaked out from the array formation when the room opened. Although Xiao Chua was extremely helpless towards Su Yun's actions, she understood that Su Yun was not doing this for the sake of novelty. In truth, she was a little worried because in her knowledge, these so-called envoys that were walking around were actually nothing in his eyes. Thinking about the scene of Kuei Yang being crushed in the Big Ling Long Palace, her heart was a little excited and the blood in her body could not help but boil. Helping Su Yun was not only to repay his kindness, but also because of her admiration towards Su Yun. Xiao Chuo was the same as Bai Yin Shan. They both pursued the peak of the martial way, but she was different from Bai Yin Shan. Her pursuit of the martial way had always been on the right path. She could suffer for the sake of the martial way, but she did not allow herself to come into contact with any power that went against the human path. But Bai Yin Shan was different. She was completely obsessed with the martial way, no matter what it was, as long as it could increase her strength. It represented power. She wanted to obtain it. She wanted to possess it. Although Xiao Chua and Bai Yin Shan both pursued the martial way, the feeling they gave Su Yun was completely different. Ever since he defeated Bai Yin Shan, he did not know how she was doing. Let her be. Su Yun did not care too much about Bai Yin Shan. Although they were both from the sky martial continent, she had chosen this path herself, so Su Yun could not ask. Just then, Gong Sun Lang walked to the front of a pavilion. He extended his hand and waved it a few times. Traces of immortal qi seeped out from his palm. The immortal qi seeped into the door in front of him and quickly disappeared. Not long after clang, the door suddenly made a clang sound, and a large number of cracks appeared. Light leaked out from the cracks, causing people to be unable to open their eyes. But the light only lasted for a while before disappearing. Following that, the door slowly opened, and a strange smell leaked out from inside. Haha, I was refining a pill just now, and the smell is a little strong. Everyone, don't mind it, don't mind it. Gong Sun Lang laughed and immediately used his qi to purify the smell inside, and then said, Everyone, please come in. Yes. Hua Xiao Xiao felt a little uncomfortable, but she still braced herself and walked in. Seeing that, Gong Sun Lang immediately ran in. Just as Xiao Chua was about to enter, she was secretly pulled back by Su Yun. What's wrong? Xiao Chua asked in a low voice. We're here. Actually, it's about time. Xiao Chua, I don't think Hua Xiao Xiao is willing to stay here. Since you are a friend, then find a chance and bring her away. Su Yun said in a low voice. All right. Xiao Chua nodded her head. In truth, she also hated Gong Sun Lang a little. This time it was all to help Su Yun. If not, she would not be willing to let her good friend endure such suffering. The few of them entered the room and looked around. This place was not comparable to Xiao Chua's pavilion. Not only was it spacious, there were tables and chairs. There were a total of 3 array formations. In the center of the 3 array formations, there was a cauldron. The interior was extremely exquisite. If Xiao Chua's pavilion was said to be the residence of a lady, then this pavilion was the residence of a proper young master. Xiao Xiao, take a seat first. I'll go get the medicine. It'll be ready soon, Gong Sun Lang said, and then impatiently walked toward the cabinet at the side. Chapter 1104. Gong Sun Lang rummaged through the cabinet, while the 3 of them sat in front of the table. Hua Xiao Xiao looked at Su Yun for help. Obviously, she did not want to stay here any longer. Su Yun nodded slightly, indicating that she could leave at any time. Seeing that, Hua Xiao Xiao heaved a sigh of relief. Xiao Xiao. Just then, Gong Sun Lang's face revealed a happy expression as he walked over. As he walked over, he was holding a blue porcelain bottle in his hand. The 3 of them focused their gazes on the porcelain bottle. The porcelain bottle was glowing, and the material it was made of was not ordinary. He walked over and carefully opened the red stopper on the porcelain bottle. Then, he carefully poured out a purple pill pearl from inside and waved it in front of everyone. An intoxicating fragrance seeped out from the pearl. Good pill. Xiao Chua, who had been maintaining her indifference, could no longer sit still. Judging from the color and smell of the pill, one could tell that it was extremely extraordinary. Of course, this was bestowed to me by the Lord of the 4th step. Even a person of the 5th step would not have the fortune to enjoy it. Gong Sun Lang said proudly. Humph. Hua Xiao Xiao only glanced at the pill, but did not seem to care too much. However, Gong Sun Lang did not see it. With a smile on his face, he held the pill toward Hua Xiao Xiao and said, Come, Xiao Xiao, take it and follow me. What are you doing? Of course it's to digest this pill, Gong Sun Lang said, then turned her head and smiled at Su Yun. The 2 of you, digesting the pill requires some process. and during this process, it will involve some secret techniques of the immortal court. This secret technique cannot be casually revealed to others, so please leave for now and come back later. Xiao Chua frowned, but did not say anything. On the other hand, Hua Xiao could no longer sit still. She immediately stood up, slammed the table, and said angrily, "Gong Sun Lang, what do you mean by this? Are you trying to chase me away?" No, Xiao, don't misunderstand. That's not what I mean," Gong Sun Lang quickly explained. "If you're not chasing people away, why do you have to say such words?" "Good. All right, let's go out. You can slowly set up this secret technique." Then, Hua Xiao pulled Xiao Chua away. "Hey, Xiao, you misunderstood. They're the ones who are leaving. I have no secrets from you," Gong Sun Lang quickly said. "How can we do that? Why can I look at them, but not them? Why am I the only one getting special treatment? Are you looking down on Xiao Chua? Xiao Ling is my good sister. If you look down on her, it means that you look down on me. What do you mean by that?" Hua Xiao was getting angrier. Su Yun, who was at the side, found it funny. He knew that it was not because Hua Xiao was angry at Gong Sun Lang's words, but because she wanted to leave this place as soon as possible. Gong Sun Lang was stunned, not knowing how to explain. Hua Xiao's endless pestering had left him scratching his head in confusion. Actually, if a woman wanted to find a reason, it was just a matter of opening her mouth. Hua Xiao did not give Gong Sun Lang any chance to explain and directly pulled Xiao Chua's hand and said angrily, "Chua, let's go. I can't stay here any longer. Even if there's an incredible pill, I won't eat it. Go." With that, Zhang Xian walked out of the room without any hesitation. Seeing this scene, Gong Sun Lang was stunned. How could he have thought that Hua Xiao's temper would be so bad? This inexplicable situation caused his stomach to be filled with anger. Immediately, anger surfaced on his face, but just as he was about to say something, a figure came from the side and blocked his path. "Young Master Gong Sun, women are not chased like this. If she wants to leave, then let her go. If you get angry now, then you will never have the chance to get her." A voice floated into Gong Sun Lang's ears. Gong Sun Lang was startled for a moment. He turned to look and realized that Su Yun was standing beside him. But this woman, she doesn't know what's good for her. Does she really think she's someone? I even gave her the soul-cleansing pill, but from start to finish, she didn't even look at it. What does she think I, Gong Sun Lang, am? Seeing that Xiao Chua and Hua Xiao had already left the house, Gong Sun Lang shouted out in anger. "She doesn't treat you as a treasure, so you don't have to treat her as a treasure. Since you two are not fated, why let go?" Su Yun laughed. Gong Sun Lang glanced at Su Yun and snorted. "Your relationship with that Hua Xiao seems to be pretty good." AI, young Master Gong Sun, you've wronged me. My relationship with Hua Xiao can only be said to be ordinary. What I truly care about is Xiao Chua. Xiao Chua? Gong Sun Lang's eyes shone with an obscure light. He licked his lips and did not say a word. How could Suya not know what Gong Sun Lang was thinking? He immediately went over and whispered, "Young Master Gong Sun, what do you think of Xiao Chua? Do you even need to ask?" Gong Sun Lang replied straightforwardly, but just as he was about to say something, he looked at Su Yun suspiciously. Seeing Su Yun's wretched look, he knew that Su Yun was also a kindred spirit, and after thinking about it, he did not need to be afraid of Su Yun. So he casually said, "Compared to Xiao Chua, Hua Xiao is like a tender blade of grass beside a fresh flower. It's just that I don't have the ability to take down Xiao Chua, so I can only stare at Hua Xiao. Young Master, what do you think of me?" Su Yun said with a smile. "You?" Gong Sun Lang did not understand Su Yun's words. He glanced at Su Yun and suddenly laughed. "You look so wretched. What can you do?" "Damn it, what do you mean? I'm wretched." Su Yun cursed in his heart, but he was angry in his heart and smiled, saying, "Young Master, you think I'm ugly, that's fine, but at least I took down Xiao Chua." "You took down Xiao Chua?" Gong Sun Lang was shocked and immediately said, "You actually have such great ability." "Ability? That's not it. But it's just a little trick. Actually, with young Master Gongsun's capital, it's easy to take down Hua Xiao. Su Yun laughed. I just didn't use my strength. Otherwise, How could this woman escape from my grasp? Gongsun Lang was unconvinced. Of course, although I haven't interacted with young Master Gongsun for long, I have heard of young Master Gongsun's abilities. This kind of woman just doesn't know how to appreciate favors. If young Master Gongsun really wants to argue with her, how can she still be so arrogant? Su Yun flattered him again. That's right. It had to be said that Su Yun's words had truly warmed Gongsun Lang's heart. He nodded slightly, the anger on his face dissipating by more than half. He looked at Su Yun and said, "You're quite smart. Young master is too kind." Su Yun laughed. He quickly thought for a while, then asked carefully, "Young Master Gongsun, about that, do you still want to take down Hua Xiao Xiao?" Hua Xiao Xiao. Gongsun Lang snorted and said, "Such a woman. It's fine to play with her, but she's not suitable to be dual cultivation partners. Isn't that how women are? It's her fortune that young Master Gongsun has taken a fancy to her, but she treats young Master like this. It's truly despicable. How about this, young Master? I still have some understanding of Hua Xiao Xiao. Why don't I help young Master take down Hua Xiao Xiao? What do you think?" Su Yin laughed. Oh, hearing that, Gongsun Lang was immediately interested. "Brother Su Yun, could it be that you have some ideas?" "Of course there is a way, but it depends on whether or not young Master Gongsun is willing to help. After all, it's impossible for me to do this alone." Su Yun laughed. "Young Master Gongsun, you have such a wide network in the Immortal Court. It's actually more than enough to deal with a woman, especially a woman like Hua Xiao Xiao. You can tell with a glance that this kind of woman is a typical example of someone who doesn't eat soft food. You've already given her such a generous gift, and you've condescended to bring her here. But what about her? Yet, he's acting all high and mighty. How can this be? Brother, if you can help me take down that bitch Hua Xiao Xiao, I... Gongsun Lang looked at the soul-cleansing pill in his hand and quietly put it away. He hurriedly said, "I will definitely prepare a big gift for you." How could such a small action of his be hidden from Su Yun's eyes? Su Yun sneered in his heart, but did not reveal much of it on his face. He only smiled and said, "Young Master is too polite. You are a noble of the Immortal Court. To be able to meet you today is already the fortune of 3 lifetimes. If I can help young Master a little, to Su Yun, it would be a great gift. How can I ask for young Master's gift? Look at what you're saying. I've already called you brother. Why are you still calling me young Master?" Gongsun Lang was unhappy. Then brother, big brother. Su Yun's heart was filled with unhappiness as he shouted out. Sigh. Gongsun Lang laughed. He immediately hugged Su Yun and said, "Quickly tell me, how did you take down Xiao Chua? Although this woman has not been in the Immortal Court for long, she is very powerful and has many abilities. She was actually recognized by the Lord and became a spirit-seeking envoy. Although she is of no rank, I do not dare to do anything to her. I see that your cultivation is not high, but you were actually able to take her down. What methods did you use? Quickly tell me, tell me." Gongsun Lang looked like he could not wait any longer. Su Yun secretly laughed in his heart, but he pretended to be calm and said, "Actually, this woman, whether it is a mortal or an immortal, is actually the same. As long as you find the right medicine, find their weakness, and then attack decisively, not to mention a fairy, even if it is a goddess, it would not be difficult to take them down. As long as you are prepared for everything and figure out their preferences beforehand, then there will be no problem." Gongsun Lang's eyes lit up, but he did not interrupt. He stared at Su Yun seriously, like a student looking at his teacher. Seeing Gongsun Lang's expression, Su Yun knew that he had firmly grasped Gongsun Lang's chess piece. Chapter 1105. Although a woman like Hua Xiao Xiao seems to have a tough temper, her heart is actually very soft. If you want to take her down, you have to target her weakness. You have to show that you are tougher than her. That way, you can suppress her in terms of aura, conquer her body, and then conquer her heart. Once she opens her heart to you, she will be like a docile sheep, obedient to you. Brother Gongsun, although you have some tricks up your sleeve, your strength is not right. It's like a fist hitting a ball of cotton. What effect can it have? Maybe the situation is even more serious, and it will directly backfire. I think the current situation is the opposite of what you want. Not only did you not win Hua Xiaoxiao's heart, you made her hate you even more, didn't you? Su Yin smiled and said. Hearing that, Gong Sun Lang frowned. After thinking for a moment, he sighed and said, Brother, you are right. It's just that I'm not good at identifying people. Although Hua Xiaoxiao is a woman, you have heard of a saying in the mortal world, a woman's heart is like a needle at the bottom of the sea. Hua Xiaoxiao is also an immortal. She has experienced a lot of things. Her mind is even more difficult to understand. Read people's hearts? That's simple. Su Yin slapped his leg and said with a smile, but the moment he said that, his expression suddenly changed. He shut his mouth tightly, as if he had said something he shouldn't have said. Hearing that, Gong Sun Lang's face immediately became puzzled. Brother, what do you mean? Are you saying that it's actually very simple to understand a person's heart? This is not simple either. Su Yun's eyes swayed, as if he was quickly thinking of an excuse. However, although Gong Sun Lang's ability to distinguish people was not good, he could still see this point. His voice became deep. Brother, do you still treat me as your elder brother? Do you still need to hide anything from me? If you have something to say, just say it, don't hide it. If that's the case, then we can't be brothers anymore. After saying that, Gong Sun Lang snorted, his face full of dissatisfaction. Father really doesn't want to be brothers with you. Su Yin laughed in his heart, but he put on an anxious expression on his face and quickly said, Brother, don't be angry. I'll say it. I'll say it all right. Only then did Gong Sun Lang's expression become much better. However, it's fine to say it, but brother, please help me. Don't tell anyone else, or else I'll get into big trouble. Su Yin said carefully. Oh, seeing Su Yun's nervous face, Gong Sun Lang immediately became interested and said with a smile, What exactly is it? Tell me. Big Brother guarantees that I am the only one in this world who knows what you say. How about it? Brother, can you swear? Su Yin said carefully. Let's not even talk about making an oath. Even if we make an oath in front of the celestial stone, why not? Gong Sun Lang patted his chest. There's no need for the immortal stones. Actually, I trust you, Big Brother. Su Yin heaved a sigh of relief, revealing a relaxed look, and said, Actually, speaking of it, this can be said to be related to the secret of my life. But today, brother and I have hit it off so well. If I still hide it from you, then I am indeed not human. Saying that, Su Yin moved closer to Gong Sun Lang and whispered, Has brother heard of the great exquisite technique? Grand exquisite technique. Gong Sun Lang frowned. How can I not have heard of this divine art? The great Ling Long Palace's famous technique is feared by all immortals. Since elder brother has heard of it, then you must know how powerful the grand exquisite art is. Actually, I saved a fellow Taoist from the grand exquisite palace a few years ago. In order to repay my kindness, that Taoist secretly taught me some superficial knowledge of the grand exquisite art. Su Yin said carefully. With that said, Gong Sun Lang was immediately startled. After a moment, his eyes lit up. He was extremely excited. He immediately placed his hands on Su Yun's shoulders and said excitedly, Bro, you know the great exquisite technique? Su Yun frowned, but did not reveal anything. He only nodded slightly and said, I only know a little. Even if it's just a little, it's still amazing. The great exquisite technique can see through a person's mind. How powerful is it? Even the mind-reading technique that my immortal court has mastered can't compare to it. Gong Sun Lang was excited and read out the 3 words mind-reading technique. Once he said it, he felt that something was wrong, but seeing Su Yun's astonished gaze, he laughed awkwardly and said, Forget it. Since I've already said it, I won't hide it anymore. Brother, you have already confided in me. If I still hide it from you, it would seem that I, Gong Sun Lang, am being pretentious. How could I not know who my elder brother is? But this mind-reading technique, why? Does the immortal court also know a technique similar to the great exquisite technique? A divine technique like the great exquisite technique has long been grasped by the immortal court, but the mind-reading technique that the immortal court has grasped is different from the current great exquisite technique. It only peeks into the mind, and the way it peeks into the mind is rather complicated. It can be said to be a relatively old version of the great exquisite technique, but it is still quite practical. The immortal court does not dare to casually recruit an immortal technique like the great exquisite technique. Otherwise, once the people of the immortal world find out that the immortal court has mastered this technique, they will not only fear the immortal court, but also fear it. This will have a huge impact, and there might even be a riot. Gongsun Lang said softly. Hearing that, Su Yin nodded his head. No wonder the immortal court had been indifferent to the great exquisite palace for so many years. It was not that they did not want to obtain the great exquisite technique, but that they did not dare to. Even the mind-reading technique was hidden. Brother, since you know the basics of the great exquisite technique, does that mean that you can pry into Xiao's mind? Gongsun Lang hurriedly asked. Brother, I didn't know that the immortal court had the mind-reading technique. If that's the case, then I'm afraid my great exquisite technique is unnecessary. Look at what you're saying. What's unnecessary? Do you think everyone in the immortal court knows how to read minds? Only special envoys know how to read minds, such as Lord Shin Chi's group of 7. Ordinary people would never be able to learn how to read minds. Furthermore, reading minds has an extremely high requirement for an immortal spirit. Although I have some ways in the immortal court to learn how to read minds, that is practically a fantasy. So that's how it is? In that case, this little trick of mine can still be put to use? Of course. Gongsun Lang laughed. Hurry up and take a look at Xiao's thoughts. I was wondering how you could take down Xiao Chua. It seems like you have such a method. As he said that, Gongsun Lang's face was filled with a vulgar smile. All right. Su Yin nodded and was about to stand up, but not long after, Gongsun Lang suddenly called out to him. Brother, wait. Brother, do you have any other orders? Su Yin turned his head and looked at him. About that, Gongsun Lang hesitated for a moment, his face becoming hesitant, as though he was considering something. Su Yin saw the light flickering in the depths of his eyes and thought that he had taken a bait. He immediately opened his mouth and said, Brother, if you have anything to say, just say it. If I have the ability, I will definitely do my best to help. This isn't a big deal. Oh, right. Gongsun Lang suddenly thought of something and immediately took out the purifying soul pill that he kept earlier, extended it towards Su Yin, and laughed. Brother, that bitch Xiao doesn't want it. Leaving this treasure with me is a waste. Why don't I give it to you? How can this be? If you don't take it, we won't be brothers. Gongsun Lang said with a straight face. Su Yun's face revealed a difficult expression. He looked hesitant. After a moment, he sighed and nodded. Since that's the case, then I won't be polite. Seeing that, Gongsun Lang beamed with joy and said, Sai, this is my good brother. Brother, we shouldn't drag this matter on for too long. I'll make my move now and go find Xiao. Su Yin laughed. Good. All right, hurry up and go. Gongsun Lang stood up and was about to send Su Yin out. After leaving Gongsun Lang's cultivation grounds, Su Yin directly headed towards where Xiao and Xiao Chua were. Xiao Chua and Xiao were still waiting for Su Yun's news in her cultivation deacon's place. When the do-do-do sound came out, the seal on the door opened almost instantly. Xiao Chua's handsome and beautiful face immediately appeared in Su Yun's line of sight. Are you all right? Xiao Chua quickly sized up Su Yun and asked. Don't worry, everything is fine. Su Yun smiled, looked around, and said, This is not a place to talk. Let's go in and talk. All right. Xiao Chua nodded, then closed the door and opened the seal again. Xiao was still thinking about something at the table. When Su Yun came in, she immediately stood up and asked, How are you? Are you all right? Gongsun Lang won't do anything to me. Don't worry. Su Yun sat down, seeing a pot of immortal tea on the table. He immediately poured himself a cup. The sparkling and translucent liquid flowed out of the pot, like sparkling diamonds. It was extremely beautiful. Su Yun looked at the liquid in the teacup and could not help but take a sip. Good tea, Su Yun praised. Of course, this is the tea bestowed to Chur by the higher-ups. She specially took it out to entertain you. After drinking this tea, you can increase your cultivation by 100 years. Xiao snorted. 100 years? Su Yun was slightly shocked, looking at the remaining liquid in the cup. He immediately took another sip, carefully tasting it, but realized that there were no changes in his body. Seeing Su Yun like that, Hua Xiaoxiao and Xiao Chua, who were at the side, could not help but laugh. Who would be so wasteful like you? Although this tea could increase one's cultivation by 100 years, that was only for ordinary immortals. For geniuses, it wouldn't be able to increase their cultivation by that much. If one's cultivation was so strong, drinking this tea wouldn't change much. The benefits of this tea didn't lie in its increase in cultivation, but in its taste. You don't even know how to taste tea, so it would be a waste to take this tea out, Xiao Chua said with a smile. Seeing that, Su Yun laughed awkwardly. However, he rarely saw Xiao Chua smile, and after seeing her today, he felt that she was worth more than this tea. Chapter 1106. At the moment, Gongsun Lang was sent into the immortal court by Su Yun. No matter what, he had to eat this. All right, how's Gongsun Lang? What did you say to him? Hua Xiaoxiao asked anxiously. What can I say to him? Of course it's to discuss with him how to get you, Su Yun said. Hearing that, Hua Xiaoxiao snorted and said, That's so unpleasant to hear. I'm not a commodity. But in his eyes, you are. The reason why I can talk to him is because of you. Naturally, I have to teach him how to chase after you. You. Hearing that, Hua Xiaoxiao was furious. Which side are you on? How can you help the evildoer? Was this helping the evildoer? Su Yun did not know what to say. He coughed and said, Miss Xiaoxiao, you don't have to worry. That was just an act, and my words were actually nonsense. It was useless, but Gongsun Lang's IQ is low, and he believed it to be true. If you really help him deal with me, don't mention whether I will forgive you or not. I believe that Xiaoer will definitely not forgive you, right, Xiao? Hua Xiaoxiao said to Xiao Chua. Xiao Chua was startled. Her cheeks flushed red. She turned her head to the side and said softly, Why are you asking me about this? Seeing that, Hua Xiaoxiao laughed sinisterly and did not say anything else. Hey, Miss Xiaoxiao, even if you don't believe me, you should at least believe Xiaoer, right? Don't worry, Gongsun Lang won't be able to jump around for a few days. Once we get rid of him, you guys can take over. It's not important. As long as this despicable fellow can leave the immortal court, that's a good thing. Su Yun stayed at Xiao Chua's place for about half a day, and then directly left, heading towards Gongsun Lang's location. At this moment, Gongsun Lang was still anxiously waiting for him. He really wanted to know if Su Yun's methods were useful or not. Great, exquisite technique. This is indeed a good technique. If I can learn this technique, wouldn't I be able to ascend to the heavens in the immortal court in the future? Thinking of this, Gongsun Lang couldn't help but feel excited. The Grand Ling Long Palace didn't have many advantages in the immortal world. Its resources couldn't compare to the other immortal sects, and its relationship wasn't as strong as the other immortal sects. Even its connections in the immortal court could only be considered average. However, it wasn't because of Kuei Yang's hard work that was able to fight for a place in the vast immortal world. It was because of the famous grand, exquisite technique. With this divine art, Dali Palace will be able to gain a firm foothold in the immortal world. Even if someone were to conspire against the great exquisite art, there was nothing they could do about it. This was because no scheme could be considered a scheme in front of the great exquisite art. The immortal court's mind-reading technique was classified as a specific Dharma art. Ordinary people of the immortal court didn't even have the chance to come into contact with it. However, what would happen if they could learn the grand exquisite art? Brother Gongsun, are you there? Just then, Su Yun's soft voice came from outside. Gongsun Lang was stunned for a moment before he hurriedly flew over and opened the door. Before Su Yun, who was standing outside the door, could react, he was dragged into the house by Gongsun Lang. How is it? What was the situation? How was Hua Xiaoxiao doing? Did you manage to find out anything? Gongsun Lang's face was filled with anxiety. As soon as his voice fell, he immediately asked a series of questions. Su Yun was startled and said, Brother Gongsun, don't be so anxious, let me tell you slowly. Only then did Gongsun Lang realize that he was a little anxious. He laughed and said, Brother, I'm sorry, I've been waiting anxiously. I can understand. After all, I've been gone for half a day. However, brother, this time, I can't give you accurate information. Su-yin shook his head and said, What do you mean? Could it be that your great exquisite art is useless against Hua Xiao Xiao? How could it be useless? I've already successfully used the great exquisite art. I've also seen a portion of Hua Xiao Xiao's thoughts, but what? It's just that there's Xiao Chua beside me. It's not easy to do. At the crucial moment, she interrupted me. Crucial moment? Gong Sun Lang was confused. What crucial moment? Su Yun sighed and said helplessly, I went to find Hua Xiao Xiao and chatted with her for a while. While she wasn't on guard, I directly used the great exquisite art. Hua Xiao Xiao doesn't understand the great exquisite art, and she doesn't know that I can use it. She can't guard against it. So I directly broke through her defenses and peeped into her state of mind. Brother Gong's son, Hua Xiao Xiao's thoughts are extremely complicated. Under her influence, you are indeed very outstanding, talented, and intelligent, and you are also handsome and have a good temper. For example, what? Gong Sun Lang stared at Su Yun nervously. For example, I don't know either. Su Yun shook his head. Didn't I tell you? At the crucial moment, I was interrupted by Xiao Chua. Xiao Chua seemed to be a little jealous and didn't like me talking too much to Hua Xiao Xiao, so she forcefully pulled me away. This time, there's really no other way. What's going on? After all this time, you've only found out about this much? Gong Sun Lang frowned. He stood up and said, No, brother, you have to make another trip to find Hua Xiao Xiao again. I must get to the bottom of her thoughts. Hurry up and go. Su Yin was in a difficult position. What's wrong? Gong Sun Lang became more and more displeased. But seeing Su Yin hesitate for a moment, he said, Brother, it's not that I don't want to go. It's just that Xiao Chua is a big problem. She seems to think that I've talked too much to Hua Xiao Xiao and intentionally doesn't want to see Hua Xiao Xiao. If I look for Hua Xiao Xiao again, I'm afraid she'll cause trouble again. This woman. Furthermore, I won't be able to stay in the immortal court for long. This time, I used the sex business as an excuse to make a trip to the immortal court. Time is of the essence, and I will be leaving in a few days. This time, it will be very difficult for me to help brother. Su Yin said with a face full of guilt. Hearing that, Gong Sun Lang was immediately enraged, thinking that he had even given the cleansing soul pill to this bastard. Who would have thought that this bastard would not be able to complete the task? He immediately shouted, Are you playing with me? Brother, what do you mean by that? What do you mean? I've been waiting for you here, yet you gave me such a piece of news. Are you worthy of me? But I don't care what method you use, you must get rid of Hua Xiao Xiao for me, or else you won't be able to leave the immortal court. Gong Sun Lang immediately turned hostile. Su Yun's face was filled with bitterness, as though he was about to cry, not knowing what to say. He immediately paced back and forth, looking like he was in deep thought. Brother, how about you give me some more time? Hua Xiao Xiao can't escape either. After I return to the immortal seeking sect and take care of the matters in the sect, I will come to the immortal court to take care of this matter for my brother. What do you think? Cut the crap. You must get rid of Hua Xiao Xiao for me now. Brother, how about this? As long as Xiao Chua doesn't cause trouble, everything will be fine. How about it? You're going? How could I possibly do that? That's your problem. Isn't Xiao Chua your dual cultivation partner? You can't even deal with her? But Su Yin seemed to be at his wit's end. Although Gong Sun Lang's face was filled with anger, his eyes were secretly sizing up Su Yun, as though he was waiting for something. He was using words to force Su Yun to do something. Finally, brother, if it really doesn't work, how about this? Since there's not enough time, and it's not good for me to get close to Hua Xiao Xiao, why don't I pass the great exquisite technique to you, and you can go and pry into Hua Xiao Xiao's mind? Su Yun carefully moved in front of Gong Sun Lang and said in a low voice. With that said, Gong Sun Lang seemed to have been petrified and continued like this for a whole 5 breaths of time. Then he suddenly jumped up and shouted, Brother, is what you said true? Is this a joke? How can it be a joke? Su Yin looked at Gong Sun Lang and asked in confusion, What? From the looks of it, it seems like you're unwilling? Why would I be unwilling? Gong Sun Lang immediately hugged Su Yun and said enthusiastically, Brother, The great exquisite technique is a good thing. If you are really willing to teach me your great exquisite technique, then a mere hua xiao xiao will not be a problem at all. It's just that I don't know if you really have such a plan, brother. What's there to be unwilling about? It's a good thing for me to be able to relieve my brother's worries. Su Yun laughed and said directly, I won't be staying in the immortal court for long. I and my brother are so compatible. Why wouldn't I be willing to part with a great exquisite technique? However, this great exquisite technique is not simple, and it is not difficult either. If you want to learn it, it will be a little troublesome. Brother Gongsun, during my time in the immortal court, I will pass this great exquisite technique to you. I believe that with your brother's talent, this small, great exquisite technique will not be a problem at all. That's great. Gongsun Lang was overjoyed. The way he looked at Su Yun was completely different from before. All right, let's not waste any more time. We can begin now. All right. Wait. Su Yun suddenly thought of something. Gongsun Lang was startled. He looked at Su Yun in confusion and asked, What's wrong? Brother, if you want to learn the great exquisite technique, you still need to prepare some things. I'll tell you, you should go and prepare first. When everything is ready, we'll start. Sure, I'll get you whatever you want. Gongsun Lang said boldly. All right, but before that, brother, how do I use the soul cleansing pill you gave me? Su Yun took out the bottle, shook it, and asked. Simple. I'll tell you the method. Absorb it. I'll go prepare the materials for you. All right. Chapter 1107. Knowing that Su Yun wanted to pass down the great exquisite technique to him, Gongsun Lang was extremely happy and immediately obeyed Su Yun's every word. Whatever Su Yun wanted, he would think of a way to get it. After consuming the pill, the items that Su Yun had told him about before were all gathered by Gongsun Lang. However, most of these things were good pills, and many of them were immortal treasures that could increase one's cultivation and strengthen one's physique. Gongsun Lang had been in the immortal court for a period of time, and although there were people promoting him, he had indeed done a lot of things for the immortal court, and had made some contributions to the immortal court. Among the materials that Su Yun had mentioned, many of them were rare pills, but they were obtained through his contributions and connections, and were extremely difficult. If it was in the past, Gongsun Lang might have felt the pinch for a while, but it was different now. If he could obtain the great exquisite technique, these things were nothing. But Gongsun Lang was extremely puzzled. Looking at the bottles and jars that he had gathered for Su Yun, he asked, Brother, why do you need so many pills? Eat. Su Yun held the bottle and answered casually as he sniffed it. Eat? Gongsun Lang was startled. Is it for me to eat? No, it's for me to eat. You eat it? Gongsun Lang's face was filled with confusion. Hey, that's not right, brother. I'm the one who practices the great exquisite technique, not you. If you want to take benefits, you should at least wait until I learn it, right? This is not a benefit. This is just something that I have to teach you to practice the great exquisite technique. Su Yun immediately picked up a pill that could increase the body and muscles and directly stuff it into his mouth without stopping at all. Gulp. When the pill entered his stomach, Gongsun Lang, who was at the side, drooled. This pill was something that he had obtained from the Stage 5 envoy, and it was impossible for a person of no rank to touch it. If he could consume it, it would increase his cultivation by at least 300 years. After a pill entered his stomach, Su Yun adjusted his breathing for a moment, then said indifferently, taking these pills and using these immortal equipment is actually to build my own foundation. Brother, not everyone can learn the great exquisite technique. Even if I throw the secret manual of the great exquisite technique in front of you, you will definitely not be able to learn it, because anyone who wants to learn the great exquisite technique needs to clear their mind and let their body and mind be in an open state. If they do not have this state, even if I am Kuei Yang, I am afraid I will not be able to teach you the great exquisite technique. And if you want to clear your mind and build a good foundation for you, you will need to have a strong cultivation and physical strength. This foolish brother does not have these two, so I can only rely on these good pills and treasures to forcefully improve. There is actually such a thing. Yin could not understand. The immortal world is so big. There are all kinds of strange techniques, let alone the great exquisite technique. If brother does not trust me, you cannot learn it. After all, the choice is in brother's hands. Learn. You must learn. Eat. Eat more. If it's not enough, I'll think of a way to get more for you. Gongsun Lang hurriedly said, Eat first. If it's not enough, we'll talk about it later. Su Yun said casually, and then continued to deal with the bottles and jars on the ground. Most of the pills here were refined by the experts of the Immortal Court, so they were naturally much stronger than the pills outside. After Su Yun ate a few, he felt a burst of heat in his abdomen, and the aura in his entire body had an obvious increase, causing him to be both surprised and happy. Gongsun Lang stood at the side and watched. Although he was extremely impatient, he did not dare to urge Su Yun. After all, he yearned for the great exquisite technique too much. If he could learn it, he would definitely be able to ascend to the heavens in the future. As a secret technique of the great exquisite technique, it would never be spread out. Even if someone captured a disciple of the great exquisite technique and forced him to hand over the cultivation method of the great exquisite technique, it would be useless because the disciples of the great exquisite technique could not be taught. It was said that something like this had happened before, but no matter who was captured, they were unable to obtain the cultivation method from their mouths. Gongsun Lang thought about it today. Maybe it was because of the soul cleansing and mind consolidating that Su Yun had mentioned. Many disciples of the great exquisite palace did not know how to cleanse their souls and strengthen their minds. So this guy must have met an incredible person from the great exquisite palace. Gongsun Lang did not think that Su Yun was lying to him. This was the Immortal Court. There was no benefit for Su Yun to lie to him like this. Su Yun just ate slowly and cultivated while eating. Although these pills were good pills, to Su Yun, they were not top-grade pills. However, with Gongsun Lang's ability, being able to obtain these things was already very good, so there was no need for him to be so strict. Gongsun Lang had been waiting by the side the entire time. Su Yun's movements were neither fast nor slow. Sometimes he would swallow pills, sometimes he would use immortal equipment to strengthen his body's immortal meridian. Sometimes he would sit cross-legged and close his eyes to cultivate. He was truly satisfied, and just like that, a day had passed, causing Gongsun Lang to be extremely anxious. He wanted to ask Su Yun when he could start cultivating the great exquisite technique a few times, but just as he was about to open his mouth, he would forcefully stop himself. It was only until the afternoon of the second day that Su Yun finished eating all the pills here. At the moment, his stomach was filled with medicinal effects that he did not have time to digest. Although the magic tools that Gongsun Lang had obtained had helped him digest some, it was still far from enough. However, he could not let Gongsun Lang wait for too long, or else he would make things difficult for him. It's about time. Su Yun exhaled, clapped his hands, and said as he looked at the mess on the ground. Gongsun Lang, who had been anxious for a long time, heard Su Yun's voice and immediately rushed over, shouting anxiously, "How is it? Can you teach me the great exquisite technique now, brother? Didn't I say it already? First, clear your heart and solidify your mind. After completing this step, we will begin. Then let's clear our hearts and solidify our minds now. Let's begin now." Gongsun Lang hurriedly said, "All right, time is of the essence. Let's begin now. Come, brother Gongsun, sit down." "All right," Gongsun Lang hurriedly said. Shinner immediately sat cross-legged on the ground, her movements fast and careful. "Brother Gongsun, in a while, I will help you clear your heart and solidify your mind. You will feel a chill all over your body. This is a normal phenomenon. I hope you can endure it." Su Yun sat down and said, "Sai, what is this? How can I not be able to endure it? Just do it, don't worry about me." Gongsun Lang said boldly. "All right then." Su Yun nodded. Without wasting any time, he directly placed his hands on Gongsun Lang's shoulders and looked straight into Gongsun Lang's eyes. Being stared at by a man like this, no matter how thick-skinned Gongsun Lang was, he still could not endure it and could not help but turn his head. "Don't turn around!" Su Yun immediately shouted. Gongsun Lang's expression froze. "Look at me. Look into my eyes." "Ugh," Gongsun Lang said unnaturally. Then, he turned his head around. Looking at Su Yun's sword eyes, Gong Sun Lang felt even more awkward. But just then, Su Yun's eyes suddenly turned snow white, and his pupils completely turned from black to white. This change made Gong Sun Lang know that Su Yun had started to cast a spell for him. He didn't dare to not cooperate in the slightest, and could only sit quietly, looking at Su Yun's eyes. Not long after, waves of coldness suddenly surged out from Gong Sun Lang's heart. It was a completely naked, bone-piercing cold, as though he had been completely stripped naked and thrown into the wind by Su Yun, and every part of his body was seen through by him. Was this what this guy was talking about? Gong Sun Lang muttered in his heart, but he did not say anything and waited quietly. Not long after, all right. Su Yun closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and said, "That's it." Gong Sun Lang was startled. It's only been the time for an incense stick to burn. Then how long do you want? Su Yun asked. This. But there's no change in my body right now. Brother, did your technique really succeed? Gong Sun Lang was still a little doubtful. Brother, you don't trust me? Su Yun revealed a helpless and worried look. No. That's not what I meant. Brother, don't misunderstand. Gong Sun Lang immediately waved his hand. Seeing that Su Yun had said that, how could he dare to question him further? If Su Yun did not teach him the great exquisite technique, then Gong Sun Lang would suffer a huge loss. Don't worry, brother. Since I promised you that I would teach you the great exquisite technique, I will naturally do my best. You can't feel any changes right now, but that's because you haven't started cultivating the great exquisite technique yet. Once you learn it, the effects will be very obvious. So it's like that. Let's not waste time. I'll teach you a few chants. With that said, Su Yun immediately chanted a series of strange and awkward incantations, allowing Gong Sun Lang to cultivate. Gong Sun Lang's talent was actually not that great, but his desire to learn the grand exquisite art was extremely strong, so he was especially serious this time. Without the slightest bit of delay, Su Yun seriously listened to every word that he said. He followed Su Yun's instructions, and as expected, there was a reaction in his body. He felt that his senses were even sharper and his eyes were even brighter, as though everything around him was being sensed and controlled by him. The great exquisite technique is not a complicated immortal technique, but it is not simple either. If brother wants to learn it, he will need to train hard. I will try my best to stay in the immortal court for a period of time to guide brother. If brother has anything that you don't know, you can come and find me at any time. I will stay at Xiao Chua's place for this period of time. Brother, you can practice according to this first. I will come to see you tomorrow. I hope that you can improve. Su Yun said, and immediately walked out the door. Gong Sun Lang was extremely happy. His entire being was completely attracted by the mystical technique of the great exquisite technique. He could not be bothered with Su Yun, and sat cross-legged in the array, continuing to cultivate. Seeing Gong Sun Lang like that, Su Yun, who had walked to the door, secretly smiled and directly pushed the door open. Chapter 1108. Returning to Xiao Chua's cultivation grounds. Xiao Chua was currently cultivating. Hua Xiao was nowhere to be seen, most likely receiving a mission from the immortal court and going out to do something. You really taught Gong Sun Lang the great exquisite technique. After hearing Su Yun's words, Xiao Chua frowned and said, she knew that Su Yun had already grasped the great exquisite palace, so it was not strange for him to know the great exquisite technique. How could I really teach him the great exquisite technique? What if he uses it on me? Should I let him use it or not? If I let him use it, wouldn't he be able to see through my thoughts? If I don't let him use it, if he gets angry and our relationship isn't good, how can I use him? Su Yun poured a cup of immortal tea and said, then what did you teach him? Xiao Chua asked. It's just a low-level immortal technique from the immortal seeking sect. This kind of immortal technique is something that the people of the immortal court would normally not even look at. It's normal for Gong Sun Lang to not know about it. Is that so? Hearing that, Xiao Chua shook her head. This Gong Sun Lang seems to be quite stupid to actually be tricked by you like this. If I wasn't stupid, would I still be able to keep an eye on him? That's true. Xiao Chua glanced at Su Yun and continued to ask, then what did you get from Gong Sun Lang? The great exquisite technique? Su Yun laughed and said, Because I used it face to face in less than an instant stick of time. I even knew what pants he wore when he was young. Naturally, I also know everything about him in the Immortal Court. Hearing that, Xiao Chua frowned, but did not mind Su Yun's joke and directly asked, "Then does he know about the Immortal Pond?" "I know a little." Su Yun's expression became serious and nodded. "What news about the Immortal Pond?" It seems that when he was chatting with that lord accidentally mentioned it. He said that the most likely location for the Immortal Pond to appear should be in the south. South? Xiao Chua was startled. Was he referring to the south of the Immortal World? Yes. The Immortal World is so big. You should know better than me what the concept of the south is. Isn't it the same as not knowing about this news? Xiao Chua shook her head and said, "Perhaps the Immortal Court would have to search the south alone. This is just a rough location that the Lord told Gong Sun Lang. I've peeked into Gong Sun Lang's memories and thoughts. I also know what the Lord said. I feel that the Lord seems to know a rough location, but it's definitely not that vague. If I'm not mistaken, the Immortal Court should have already locked onto the area where the Immortal Pond might appear, and it's not that big," Su Yun said seriously. "But Gong Sun Lang doesn't know about the Celestial Pool. How should you start? Don't tell me you're going to build a relationship with that Lord and use the great exquisite technique on him. Gong Sun Lang has not seen much of the world. He does not know that what you used on him was not some clear heart and solid brain. But this master is different. As a fourth rank envoy, he can sense any kind of immortal technique that peeks into the mind. I'm afraid that once you make your move, he will turn against you." Xiao Chua said with slight concern. "I know. I'm not stupid enough to do that. Don't worry. Although I only have Gong Sun Lang under my control, he can be a breakthrough point." "Breakthrough? What breakthrough?" "The breakthrough point of the Immortal Court." Su Yun raised the corner of his mouth and said softly, "If it was before I came to the Immortal Court, it could be said that the Immortal Court is impregnable to me. My understanding of it is limited to the information you provided me, and sometimes this information is not even considered important. After all, your position is low, your strength is low, and your ability is limited. You are unable to come into contact with too many important things, but Gong Sun Lang is different. Although he is the same as you, an envoy without a rank, he is connected to a fourth rank envoy, and this fourth rank envoy is actually connected to a third rank envoy. This kind of connection, I'm afraid it will be connected to the Immortal Court's Hallmaster. In this way, this impregnable Immortal Court, in front of me, is like crumbling dust, no longer indestructible." "What you said sounds nice, but how much power does Gong Sun Lang have? It's already very difficult for you to get the information from the fourth rank envoy through him, let alone the third rank envoy. What happens after that is even more impossible." Xiao Chua frowned. She did not agree with Su Yun's beautiful words. But Su Yun was not afraid at all, and said with a face full of smiles, "Don't worry, Chua. I already have a plan." Xiao Chua's face turned red. She turned her face away and said, "Hua Xiao Xiao is not here. You can just call me Xiao Chua." "Isn't it the same? Is it not nice to hear?" The second day. "Brother Gong-san, how do you feel?" Su Yun casually pushed open the door and entered, glanced at Gong Sun Lang, who was meditating in the center of the array, and laughed. "I feel that my body is getting warmer and warmer, and the flow of the immortal chi in the immortal meridian is getting smoother and smoother. Especially my senses, they are extremely sharp now, but this great, exquisite technique. How do I peek into other people's minds? Why do I feel that this cultivation method doesn't seem right?" Gong Sun Lang took a deep breath and said with a thoughtful look, "How could it be wrong? Brother Gong Sun, although we call each other brothers, strictly speaking, I am also your teacher. If you doubt my teaching methods time and time again, then this great exquisite technique will really be difficult to pass down." "Hey, brother, what are you saying? I don't have the slightest intention of doubting you." Gong Sun Lang saw that Su Yun seemed to be a little angry and immediately said, "I know that Brother Gong Sun doesn't mean that. All right, since you want to know if this kind of cultivation is effective, how about this? In 3 days, you should be able to enter the initial stages of the great exquisite technique. At that time, we will know after trying out We will use Hua Xiao Xiao as the test subject. How about it? That's good. Gong Sun Lang immediately said. He was already rubbing his palms together, unable to wait any longer. Since you want to see the results in 3 days, then you have to work harder in these 3 days. Su Yun sat on the ground and sighed. But to be honest, Brother Gong Sun, my great exquisite technique is just a little bit of the great exquisite palaces. The truly powerful great exquisite technique is the one that can peer into the heart and read the memories. Any immortal in front of it would be naked, without any cover. When Brother Gong Sun becomes stronger in the future, you can directly go to the Great Exquisite Palace to obtain the true Great Exquisite technique to cultivate. Who would dare to stop you? Powerful? Hearing that, Gong Sun Lang snorted. If I am powerful, how could it be just the Great Exquisite technique? There are so many magic treasures in this vast, immortal world. Don't tell me I won't take them all? That's true. Su Yun laughed, then looked left and right, went closer to Gong Sun Lang, and asked softly, Brother Gong Sun, do you know about the Immortal Pond? Immortal Pond? Gong Sun Lang turned his head to look at Su Yun. Do you think that there are many people in the immortal world who don't know about the Immortal Pond? Ahaha, that's true, but Brother Gong Sun, this Immortal Pond is so magical, countless immortals have been eyeing it for a long time. Is there any movement from the Immortal Court? Su Yun asked carefully. Gong Sun Lang glanced at him strangely and said, The Immortal Court is naturally looking for the Immortal Pond, but why are you asking this? This matter is currently a secret of the Immortal Court. I advise you not to ask too much. Brother Gong Sun, do you not see me as a brother? There's only you and me here. No one else will know what we say. What are you afraid of? I'm only telling you this because I treat you as a brother. Could it be that you think I, Su Yun, am a villain? Brother, you're thinking too much. Actually, I don't know much about the Immortal Pond. After all, I'm just a lowly envoy. Gong Sun Lang said with a troubled look. From the looks of it, he thought that Su Yun wanted to get some information about the Immortal Pond from him. Su Yun had used the Great Exquisite technique on Gong Sun Lang. He knew about Gong Sun Lang's past and understood his character. So he understood Gong Sun Lang's thoughts and immediately smiled and said, Brother Gong Sun, this foolish brother is actually not very interested in the Immortal Pond. For a person like me, it is a blessing to be able to enter the Immortal Pond, and it is natural for me to not be able to enter. I don't care about the exact location of the Immortal Pond. The reason why I'm telling you this is because I hope that Brother Gong Sun can enter the Immortal Pond and become a great immortal, so that you can protect us in the future. You want me to enter the Immortal Pond? Gong Sun Lang sighed and shook his head. To be honest, brother, I am actually one of the people appointed by the Immortal Court to enter the Immortal Pond, but I am just a replacement. Although I have a chance of entering the Immortal Pond, the chances are so small that they are negligible, and there are more than 100 people who are going to enter the Immortal Pond. It's not that I don't want to enter the Immortal Pond to become a great immortal, but I don't have the chance. Gong Sun Lang sighed again and again, with an extremely helpless look on his face. Hearing that, Su Yun's eyes turned. He suddenly laughed and said in a low voice, Brother Gong Sun, the opportunity is not given by others. It is something that you have to fight for yourself. If you are so unknown and do nothing, how can you enter the Immortal Pond? Gong Sun Lang's heart skipped a beat. His eyes widened as he looked at Su Yun. Brother, what do you mean by that? Don't worry about what I mean, Brother Gong Sun. Let me ask you a question first. What question? Ask away. Su Yun paused, then said seriously, Let me ask you, are you willing to enter the Immortal Pond? Why wouldn't I be willing? Gong Sun Lang answered without hesitation, but as soon as he finished speaking, his face was filled with worry, and he sighed. But it's useless if I'm willing. There's no chance. Even if I look through the autumn water, it's impossible for me to enter the Immortal Pond. However, after Gong Sun Lang said that, Su Yun smiled mysteriously and said, Actually, if you want to enter the Immortal Pond and obtain this blessing, it's not that there's no way. It all depends on whether or not you're willing to do it. Gong Sun Lang's eyes lit up. He swallowed his saliva and whispered, Brother, from what you said, could it be that you have a way? Yes, of course. Su Yun laughed. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.